Ken Paxton has filed suit to vacate the seats, the House seats that Democrats who fled Texas. Putin says he'll be satisfied with half of Ukraine, which is not really a surprise to anybody. He's also going to be in Alaska next week, which is the first time since the United States acquired Alaska. So that's interesting news. Trump says he's authorized the military to take on the cartels, and so we'll see if that'll work this time, because in the past it's had spotty results. And Virginia says that it's going to help, or that it has helped kids get abortions. And so we'll talk about that. Right now, we want you guys to head on over to Cask Brew Coffee and buy some coffee. You've got the 1776 blend Josie Special grind is available. You've got 2 weeks till Christmas. Of course, Ian's Graphene Dream is available. We've got K-Cups available. So head on over to caskbrew.com and get yourself some coffee. The Appalachian Nights is probably our biggest seller. It's either that one or Ian's Graphene Dream, but they're both great. It's honestly the coffee that I drink in the morning. So head on over there. And then we also have a big culture war tomorrow. Head on over to dccomedyloft.com to get tickets for the Culture War Live. Tomorrow it's going to be Myron Gaines. It'll be, I think, Kayla. I forget what her last name is. I think she's not so...
Kyla Turner.
Kyla Turner. She's not so erudite on Twitter or X. Kat Timpf will be there. So they'll be arguing whether or not feminism has destroyed the West. And so I think that Myron is going to take the pro-feminism side, and Kat Timpf and Kyla are going to argue against it. So head on over there. But why don't you guys go ahead and smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is Angela Belcamino, right? Did I pronounce the last name right?
Belcamino.
Belcamino,
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, guys. It's been a long time coming. Many of you know me as the Bold Lib. What a lot of you don't know about me is that I'm actually, my background's in mental health, and I've been doing that full time for the past many years, and I recently left my job to start my own podcast coming up in September, which is going to be streaming on Rumble. So I'm very excited about that. Thanks to my sponsors at Network Access Group. They're bringing this podcast.
Great.
So I'm super excited about that. I'm going to be moving in a week out of New York City.
Wow.
Back home to Florida. I've been in New York.
Home?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm from Florida originally. I've been in New York for 12 years. So I'm just feeling over it.
Awesome.
But yeah, my main platform right now is X at Angela Belcamino, and I'm going to be bringing some more stuff on TikTok.
Awesome.
Soon as
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
We've got Raymond G. Stanley.
Hey friends, it's your resident blue-collar devil dog here. I'm excited to be here today with the boldest libs of them all. And we have
Sean's here.
Producer Sean, hey guys, thanks for having me back by popular demand. The blue hoodie was a fan favorite last night, so I wore another blue hoodie.
Awesome.
Different color blue, but glad to be here.
Thanks for joining us. Elaad is here. Barely.
Hey, good evening, everybody. White House correspondent here at Timcast. Thanks for having me, Phil.
Well, thank you for coming to hang out. All right, so we're gonna get right into it. From the Post Millennial, breaking: Ken Paxton files suit to vacate state house seats held by Dems who fled over redistricting vote. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has filed a lawsuit with the state Supreme Court in order to declare the seats held by 13 Democrat House lawmakers who fled the state amid a vote on a new congressional district map vacant. The rogue Democrat legislators who fled the state have abandoned their duties, leaving their seats vacant. These cowards deliberately sabotaged the constitutional process and violated the oath they swore to uphold. Their out-of-state rebellion cannot go unchecked, and the business of Texas must go on. I have asked the Texas Supreme Court to clarify what has been clear from the beginning, that the runaway members have officially vacated their offices in the Texas House, Paxton said in a statement. This is a bit of a surprise for some people. I think that it's good. I know that House members leaving the state in order to prevent quorums and stuff like that, it's not unprecedented, but it does seem like Ken Paxton wants to put a little oomph behind it, and I think that probably has something to do with the fact that he's after John Cornyn's seat.
Yeah, we were talking about this yesterday as well. So like, without 100, they can't do business, right?
Yep.
So that's the issue. So it's like, the government's already inefficient, and now they can't even do anything because these Democrats have left. We were talking about it last night. The issue is okay, if you arrest them, you just martyr them and you give them all kinds of social credit. So what do we do?
What's social credit going to do for them?
When
They left
elections become the face of the Democrat Party? I mean, everyone's vying for that right now.
Do you think that state legislators leaving really are going to have an impact on national Democrats?
No, what I'm saying is if you arrest them.
I mean, but
Yeah.
the point that I'm making is, most of the time, most Americans don't really pay attention to their own state governments. Never mind the state government in Texas. Now, there are people that are worked up because this is about redistricting and stuff, but redistricting is not, redistricting halfway through the time for the census is not unprecedented. They've done it before. It's happened. I heard someone, I forget who it was, that was talking about this being an unprecidented situation, and it's not. No. They've had.
It's rare. They say it's rare.
It's rare, fine, but
Briscoe Kane said that. Yeah, it's rare.
Yeah, rare is fine, but it's still unprecedented is different. And so I don't think that most Americans really are going to care.
Right.
Beyond Democrats are looking for something to talk about. What do you think?
I mean, I'm not well versed on gerrymandering, but I mean, my opinion is that they should have stayed. Like, I don't think it's right that they left. Like, can say that. And my question is the same. Like, something needs to be done about it. I feel like I think.
Yeah. What do you do?
do?
You pick them up and force them back into their job. I mean, it's like what are your options? And what I'm saying as far as becoming the face of the Democratic Party, they're being arrested, they're getting the photo op, it's gonna be national news. They want this, you know what I mean? With Mamdani, I would argue Mamdani's probably the biggest, most popular face in the Democratic Party right now. But if these guys are, carted out in the jail and stuff, all of a sudden everyone's going to know their names, know who they are, know what their positions are. So it's
But does this hurt Democrats? Because it's my opinion that Democrats are really floundering. Part of the reason why they're doing this is because, Democrats still. Just yesterday, there was a clip of Nancy Pelosi talking about how they want to nationalize gender reassignment surgery for kids. This is an 80-20 issue. The American people do not back that, but Democrats still are on the wrong side of so many issues. Is this the issue that they're trying to get behind because they think that it's an easy win? Is it an easy win, or is this just something to distract from the fact that they still have nothing except for Zohran Mamdani, who is really unpopular in their own party? There are some people that are very pro Mamdani, of course, but the people that are, against Mamdani, this is really going to split the Democrat Party, even though it's only the mayor of one city, not even a national level Democrat.
Yeah, no, it's a big one, myself included. I am, not as progressive. I'm not on this extreme, and a lot of this stuff is really turning me off. So, being a Democrat, I don't know that this is the issue, but I think you're onto something, whereas they're not really changing their tune. They're sort of doubling down on the same. So that's been bothering me. It's something that's kind of pushed me more towards center,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm curious, Elaad, what are we hearing at the White House?
What do you mean?
As far as what's the administration saying about this?
I haven't really heard
Elaad, our White House correspondent who talks to everyone at the White House.
Has the president or has the White House made any official statements about what's going on in Texas?
Not to my knowledge. I think he's letting this one rock out. I don't know. You could Google it. I haven't been up to date on
You've been at the White House, right, Elaad?
I have been at the
White House. Just making sure.
I did ask, I don't want to get into my scoops here. I'm not sure, but I think there's this one House rep in Texas. He just went on the Joe Rogan show. I forgot what his name is, but he's having a little come up. I don't know if he's one of these guys. But yeah, again, this is just posturing. This is a Band-Aid fix for the gerrymandering issue for them in Texas. They're going to eventually have to come back.
Yeah,
it's an inevitability.
It's a special session right now, and the special session I believe ends at the end of August. I think, I'm not positive, but it's 30 days is what a special session is, and then if the governor wants to declare another or call another special session, they can. So eventually, yes, you're right. There is going to have to be something that'll happen. But the Democrats that I've heard talking, the Texas Democrats that I've heard talking, they've kind of alluded to the idea that they're willing to, stay on the lam as long as it takes.
Yeah, because you said Elaad, they're going to have to come back. What does that mean? you can't force somebody to come back unless you arrest them, in which case then
Are they
which
going
is
to stay out of
which is
their
what they want.
district until the next midterm election? No, right? They're going to go. They're going to slowly get fined, and then they're going to look very bad for staying out of their districts and not doing anything, and essentially filibustering inevitably to prevent the state house from accomplishing anything. That'll be extremely unpopular. So politically, they're going to have to come back. So
It'll be unpopular on the state level. Do you think that it'll be popular with national Democrats?
do I think it'll be unpopular with
No, do I think
national-
that do you think that it will be popular with national Democrats because it will be looked at as, oh, they're taking it to Trump and they're giving
Maybe, but I could still not name one of these. I don't know. You said these guys are going to turn popular, Sean. Can you name one of these House representatives?
Not yet, but as soon as you get the handcuffs on him and he's on television every day, it's like Mom Donnie. Could you have named Mom Donnie 3 months ago?
When he was running, I could have, but
Sure.
that's not.
Right.
And
So I'm saying.
they did this in 2021 when there were voting laws in Texas. Over 50 Democratic lawmakers fled. If you guys recall this, they all left in Texas. But they all came back, and the Republicans still passed the law. So it's just a big theater. It's not going to have any effect. They're going to come back. The gerrymandering is going to work, and we're going to move on, and no one's going to care about these people down the road.
Well, I mean, I think you're probably right about the long-term consequences, unless one of these state legislators actually is exceptionally politically talented. Because it's like you could take someone. I mean, no one thought that Barack Obama was going to be the president 6 months before he got into office as the junior senator in Illinois. Nobody knew who he was, but because he's very politically talented, has a lot of charisma, very quickly it became apparent that, wow, this guy's actually going to be a force. And then, within just, a year or so, he had basically taken over the whole Democrat Party. Mm-hmm. So I do think that as long as none of these people are actually politically talented, I think you're right. But this is the kind of thing that brings out, that shines the light on politically talented people.
And we are in unprecedented times. Like I understand what you're saying. Like, would you say 50 years ago?
No, just back in 2021.
2021. Okay.
Yeah.
So they all came back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Over 50 left, and they came back, and
I just
they
think
got
like on the
passed.
left they hate Trump so much that like even like what do the woke call it, good trouble? They get into good trouble.
Yeah.
So it's like this is what they see as their opportunity for that good trouble not coming back. And plus you can be on broadcasted every day on social media.
Yeah, I mean I think that's the kind of what I'm getting at is this is the kind of situation that really does take your nobodies and make them into somebodies. So it could be that this is an opportunity for them. Now, I mean, I could be totally wrong about the individuals, and this really does depend on the individuals in question. Like if none of them are, if they're just, run-of-the-mill clowns, then they're not going to be able to capitalize on this. But this kind of attention could make a star out of them, especially if they're perceived as someone that's taking it to Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. Because that's the whole point of this, right? The whole point of this is look at us. We're not letting Donald Trump destroy democracy for the 75,000th time, right? Like it's always about they're destroying democracy. They're going to destroy our democracy, et cetera. But this is not going to make a mess. There's going to be, I think I heard the governor talking that there would be 4 new districts they're talking about. One of them they would all be likely predominantly Republican. One would be predominantly black and one would be predominantly Hispanic, though they would be Republican still. So it's not like the Democrats really can go with their normal catchphrases or what have you, like this is about racism, et cetera. Right. It's like, well, and not really if you've got a mostly black and a mostly Hispanic, this isn't about racism. This is about, representation. Does that make a difference?
I don't know. Like, I think the story is really very much so like for the insiders and the people that are paying attention, the kind of the smaller percentage of people out there. Like, if you ask somebody on the street, do they care about this? Probably not. I think once, their absence starts affecting people in Texas, like if there aren't social programs that people are relying on or whatever the case is, if that starts falling through, then I think people would be like, start getting outraged. But I don't know. Kind of like what Raymond said, a lot of theater.
And Jasmine Crockett, she's probably going to lose her seat.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Let's go team.
Actually.
I think that Jasmine Crockett. That's someone that I think that is politically talented. Again, there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna wig out that I'm saying this,
Actress.
but she gets attention, and that's what people are kind of neglecting. I've had arguments with people around this table before about like AOC's political talent, and someone's like, "Oh, she's just dumb and never blah blah blah," and that is a terrible perspective to take, because whether or not she is someone that you politically agree with or someone that you find charismatic, she is charismatic, and she can definitely get people's attention.
People rally behind her and feel very strongly, and she gets people like heated, and she gets people to vote and be passionate about these things.
When you were living in New York, were you in her district?
I was.
Oh, okay.
And I did like her, and I did vote for her. So
It's a hot take. That's a spicy take.
What did you like about her?
I mean, I feel like she was really well spoken and, like you said, charismatic. And like I think I tend to believe everything that she was saying easily. And so I think, with my experience and kind of evolving, I'm more willing to really do some more research and and ask more questions. But she definitely had that quality, or has that quality about her where now I'm like, oh, okay, once I see the other side and I'm able to have conversations with people more. But I think,
Did you feel the same way when the issue with the Amazon warehouse was going down? She prevented the Amazon warehouse from being built in the district. Do you remember that?
I do kind of remember. Yeah.
And did that color your opinion of her when that happened, or was it something that really?
I don't
largely didn't
remember
touch you?
that specifically being something that I was super involved in at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I wonder is because that's the kind of thing that would turn a lot of people off when it's that type of thing, that if it touches their lives, if it's like, I was really hoping for a job or something like that. I was,
Absolutely.
I've been looking for work and et cetera. And the scuttlebutt going around was she's not in her district enough. She's always on the internet and she's always in DC and she's more concerned with being an influencer. So that's why I brought it up. I was wondering if it affected you.
It wasn't personal to me, but I definitely get that.
Yeah.
I think people would.
Do you still identify as a Democrat?
I do.
All right, we got one, boy.
I do, but I see myself, you were saying, like, kind of more of like a classic, like old school, modern liberal, a little more like left of center.
Do you see this as like action, like what these Texas Democrats are doing? Do you see this as like something that the Democrats get behind, or do you think?
I think what I was saying is, like, me personally, I see it as more of like, a bad look.
Okay.
Like, it's not something I would rally behind, personally. And I don't know. I think with the Democratic Party in general, right now people are asking a lot of questions, and
Can you unpack that a little bit? You said to your progressive or Democrat friends, what are the things that they say to you about the Democrat Party and about like your kind of evolution away from the more progressive side of the Democrats?
Well, I'm definitely getting pushback from people on the left, like the more progressive, like, I'm seeing a difference where it's just getting very extreme, like more woke. And so by being
more woke today still.
Yeah.
Okay,
See,
sorry. Go ahead.
that's what I was saying yesterday. They view it as punk rock.
Yeah.
They really do.
But go ahead, please.
Yeah, so, I'm getting a lot of pushback. I'm getting canceled by a lot of people that, I was previously like having, we were working together in the Democratic Party. And over the past several years, since this most recent election, I'm getting canceled for asking questions or not just like subscribing to this sort, the bullet points I just find it super, being called a Nazi and a fascist, like, for being
Welcome to the club.
Vandalizing Teslas is a crime, like, and not like just agree. So by not agreeing and asking those questions, I have a lot of people calling me a Nazi and fascist.
Yeah, I've gone through 4 tires because of nails being left around my Tesla in the past month. So.
And I don't agree with that. Like, how are we doing any good by doing? I don't think that's.
Sorry, Phil. I thought you were someone else.
Be careful. You don't want to do that stuff.
Yeah, you're on camera.
But I appreciate that. When you said something that you said canceled. When you say canceled, what do you mean? Because the colloquially, canceled has meant, lose a job,
Yeah.
friends stop talking to you, possibly stop talking to you, and you find out about it because they make a big, long social media post about how you're a terrible person, which has happened to me. I mean, it's been a long time since that stuff has happened to me because I've been fairly open about my opinions for a long, long time. But it was a new thing in 2013, 14, 15. And that was, fairly shocking to me. People that I thought that I'd been friends with, that I'd grown up with, that I had heard say some of the most offensive, terrible jokes. And then they come out and say, oh, he's this terrible person for saying something that is night and day from what the things that I'd heard them say. But what do you mean?
No, that's
by
hard, right? That's hard. It's hard to wrap your head around a lot of that stuff. I think, with a lot of over the past several years, with politics, Facebook, whatever. So some of it is real, like real life family members and friends coming at you and, being nasty and name calling and things. But it's a lot. I mean, I do a lot on Twitter, a lot on X, and the comments are really ugly and really nasty. There's a lot of blockings. There's a lot of I followed you, and just a lot of name calling, a lot of nastiness. Which I'm not behind. It's like, if you disagree with me, let's have a conversation. Tell me why. It's okay to disagree, but you can't. So that's kind of what I mean. Blockings and name calling, nasty comments, just a lot of people who are very vocal about
Welcome
it.
to the internet.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. The Democrats are trying to cancel you, but the conservatives think it's all a bit. They think like what you're doing is fake. And we were talking about that a little bit before the show. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a conservative psyop, all this. But it has been really nice. So I've gotten a lot of like positive responses from conservatives.
Oh, that's
people
good.
on the right too. Like they're kind of coming around and being like, oh, I thought I hated you, and I thought this narrative, this thing about you.
Your rage baits were absolutely. I mean, and they really were absolutely perfect. The way that you would post things and stuff, especially when you were really going for it, trying to upset conservatives. I was like, this chick she knows exactly what to do. And when I saw you hanging out with it was Ashley Sinclair, I think it was the first time.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this real? And then I was like, well, now has the whole thing been a bit? Because I knew that it was rage bait. Like I knew the point of it was that you were trying to get a reaction out of people. But I was like, there's no way that she's that good at it. Has it all been a bit? So how much of it was a bit? Like, I mean, obviously you are a Democrat.
I am.
But you just knew how to get a rise out of people. And
We were talking about this earlier. Like, I am a Democrat, I am a liberal, but I think there's extremes on both sides. And so, sort of trolling, a bit there. But there is an authenticity and genuineness about it too, but just sort of like calling out and trolling extremes and like having fun with it too.
Yeah, when you're like walking down the streets of New York, like strutting your stuff and like, I'm 40 and I'm ready for a baby, but I'm not going to have him because I'm free. Like, that's some good rage bait going on.
It's like I was doing 42 child free.
Yeah. There you
go.
We're also talking about that because you were talking about kids. And I feel strongly about like people should be able to do whatever they want to do. Like I don't think people should, your life is meaningless if you don't have children. And I think those videos, people got so angry.
Yeah, I bet.
Is the chat lighting up right now? Is the chat lighting up?
I don't know.
As a bold lib, what are the issues you care about? Is it abortion? I'm guessing is like
honestly,
top of the list.
For me, like coming from a mental health background, my stuff is very much like humanity. Like, things that affect human lives, quality of life, mental health related, like that kind of stuff. But I do, but women's rights is also important to me.
What about women's lefts?
That too. All of,
Okay.
the rights and the lefts.
Okay. So
What I'm trying to understand, like Democrats, they deal with mental health issues very well. You think, or like what? Is there something in particular?
I'm not sure what you mean. But.
Are you saying that Democrats are mentally challenged? Is that what you're saying?
No, like the Democrat issues that you care about, and you were like, the mental health stuff.
Well, it's not necessarily a Democrat issue. Like that's why I'm more about bridging. I like bringing people together. Like right now, I feel like I'm at least now, like in this phase of like we have more in common and trying to bring people together and we're all human and finding that sort of common ground is where I'm at right now. And
Does
that's
that mean you don't have like a bleeding hatred for the president or?
right?
Okay,
No,
cool.
correct. And I would say that's different. Like I would say that that's part of my evolution. I think that we all should hopefully grow and evolve. And I can definitely say like I have said some bad thing, that I don't take it back. That's where I was then. And I feel like who I am today is different. And I feel like I'm learning. And that's why I'm here and why I want to like have more conversations and be like open.
So do you feel like you had looking back now, right, to when you were more in the, I guess, liberal bubble?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you were first of all, do you feel like you were in a liberal bubble? And second of all, do you feel like you understand conservatives now, better now after kind of coming out and making light of some of the more progressive ideas and also spending time with conservatives? Did you used to think that conservatives were a different kind of person, or is it something that you kind of like always were like, no, we're all kind of actually just having different opinions and come from different places?
Yeah, I don't. I think that I think that I can see the differences. Like I feel like I might have lumped people all, which is not like me. So I'm able to see that more clearly now.
But it's very normal and very human.
Yeah,
so I
for sure. I think we have a
tendency.
tendency to want to put people into boxes, right? Which I'm actually very, and I say this now, and it's part of my bio. I'm anti-label and anti-box, so it's more in line with who I am. But yeah, I don't think I realized. Now I have a better understanding, and I think getting to know people and their stories, like, so I do interviews on X and I'm interviewing a lot of conservative people, J6ers, et cetera. And so I would have thought the same thing, right, about that entire group of people. But like hearing their stories, you hear a whole other perspective, and not everyone's situation and where they were at that day is the same.
Right.
So I think that's so important, and that's something I want to do with my podcast is really the storytelling piece and getting to know people's backgrounds so that we don't lump people and just make assumptions.
But I also think like the 90s liberals are in a tough spot. Like the conservative party today versus the liberal party, like go back to the 90s, they're completely inverse. You know what I mean? Like the conservatives in the 90s were very much pro-censorship, like, like a lot of, very Christian.
Remember, the PMRC was Al Gore's wife.
Who's that?
The PMRC.
PMRC.
I forget what the acronym meant, but it was looking to censor music.
Oh, okay.
And
the albums, the explicit album,
that's
the
where you got the
labels.
explicit warnings.
Beavis and Butthead, though, I think that was the conservatives, right? Like that was.
They went after Eminem.
Yeah, they went
No.
after.
No, this is much further back. Al Gore's wife. This is in the 80s. This is when, because the label on offensive records or whatever, that wasn't in the late 90s. That was in the late 80s, early 90s. It was when Dee Snider went before Congress and actually was talking to Congress. And it was Al Gore's wife.
Yeah.
Who was the leader of the PMRC. So I do agree, Republicans and conservatives have that stigma because of the fact that that's where the Christian conservatives were, but it wasn't just Republicans.
Right.
And I, point to Al Gore's wife.
Sure, but the left was seen as the free speech party, the live and let live, the pro, same-sex marriages. Like it was down with the machine, take down the
90s,
government. Yeah, in the 90s, yeah.
And I think the PMRC
and now
actually
that's
was
the right.
I think
except for the gay marriage part.
I think that the PMRC was actually earlier because like Hook and Mouth by Megadeth references the PMRC, and that was on I think it was So Far So Good So What album. Anyways, either way, it was.
I remember it was a big deal when they
not
put those
late
big
80s,
labels on.
mid 80s, but it was a big deal. And that was again, that was.
And Beavis and Butthead got censored because they were saying fire because some dumb kid burned down his house.
Yeah.
They were saying fire, so they couldn't say fire anymore. And then remember when the movie came out, they said fire like 1,000 times.
And all the people that were looking to censor video games.
Yeah, video games.
Violent.
Conservatives,
So
it was.
Yeah, it was largely. I feel like it was largely accredited to conservatives, but I do feel like it was actually more bipartisan than people remember, and I think that's because of the fact that it was oftentimes led by the Christian conservatives, and that's what people remember is the the people that were the Bible thumpers that were saying this is against
Book
God.
burning
This is-
and
going after Marilyn Manson, going
Beatles
after
and-
heavy metal bands. There were the people that were going after Judas Priest because they swore up and down that there were backwards messages in the songs.
Yeah.
Judas Priest had to go to court.
But it's just wild. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I think a lot of '90s liberals are homeless because of that.
Well, I think a lot of '90s liberals are MAGA.
Yeah.
Hey, now they are. That's what I'm saying.
true.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Your hat's
That's
coming in
why
the
I'm
mail.
wearing red.
Yeah. It's just she's turned a new leaf.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we're going to jump to this next story now. From the Wall Street Journal, Putin tells U.S. he'll halt the war in exchange for eastern Ukraine. Let's see. Russian President Vladimir Putin presented the Trump administration this week with a sweeping proposal for a ceasefire in Ukraine, demanding major territorial concessions by Kiev and a push for global recognition of its claims in exchange for a halt to the fighting, according to European and Ukrainian officials. President Trump said Friday he would meet with Putin in Alaska on August 15th following Putin's proposal. He didn't provide additional information about the meeting or the exact location. The Kremlin didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. European officials expressed serious reservations about Putin's proposals, which would require that Ukraine hand over eastern Ukraine, a region known as the Donbass, without Russia committing to much other than stopping fighting. The offer, which Putin conveyed Wednesday to U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff in Moscow, set off a diplomatic scramble to get further clarity on details of the proposal. This is something that most people that have been watching the war in Ukraine kind of figured was going to happen. So I don't know that Putin, well, the news isn't really the actual news. It's Putin saying, making the remark that's actually the news. But this is something that, there's always been the assumption, or at least since Putin's advance was stopped, the assumption was he was going to take the Donbass, he was going to take the places that are predominantly Russian speaking, and he was going to say, okay, this is where I'll stop, because no one at all ever thought that Crimea was going back. Ever since 12 or 13, when he actually invaded Crimea and took Crimea, everyone has kind of been like, well, I guess Crimea is part of Russia now. And there are people that are like, no, especially those the fellas on X. They love to say, no, we're gonna kick Putin out of Crimea, and it's like, man, that ain't happening. Like you're a clown if you think that. What are you gonna do? Like, how are you gonna get him out? I mean, is the U.S. gonna actually put troops in there? That's not gonna happen. That was never gonna happen. Right. So this is probably a best case scenario, and it's also what kind of people really thought was going to be the end game anyways. But if I understand correctly, some of the details that Putin wants is like there will be no UN, or Ukraine will not enter into the UN. Mm-hmm. There will be no Western forces in Ukraine, which just kind of means that Putin's going to be like, all right, we'll stop fighting now until I feel like it again.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, is it
$80 billion well spent? I mean, I guess, Angela, from your standpoint as a Democrat, like, I don't understand why the whole pro-Ukraine thing started. I really have no idea where that came from. And it's like all of a sudden it was like you're on one side or the other. It didn't make a lot of sense. Like from your standpoint as a Democrat, why do you guys love Ukraine?
I don't know. This is not I'm not versed in this at all.
Okay.
I haven't been heavily
But in your circles,
involved in
did they have the flags in their profiles and stuff?
Some.
Why?
Yeah.
It's easy to answer.
Yeah.
It's easy. It's because it's Russia. It's Trump and Russia, the Russiagate. Anything against Russia, Russia does. They're going to hate their whole. No offense, but the Democratic Party side is going to hate, even no matter what. If they do something good, do something bad. That's why day one they instantly put their flags in their bio because it's Russia, and they're told to hate Russia because of Russiagate.
Because Russia helped. Yeah, because Russia helped Donald Trump steal the election.
Yes.
So if you
facts.
If you are against Donald Trump, he's allied with Russia because he's a Putin puppet.
Right.
Which is, it's not based in any kind of reality, but that's the narrative that the left
I think
loves.
I think that is the narrative. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Elaad, what do you feel is the proper course of action? Do you think that this is what was always going to be the situation? Do you think that I don't think we can trust Russia personally, but what do you think?
So for President Putin, I think the Ukraine war is legacy defining. He wants to take a bigger chomp out of Ukraine that he's been able to. In the initial assault, he almost split Ukraine in half when he sent that long convoy to Kyiv. I don't know if you guys recall, but they definitely want a lot more territorial gains than this. And I don't think at the negotiating table is the way that Putin will be able to achieve this. Ukraine will not give up half their country without a fight, considering how much I think they've already fought for the eastern parts of Ukraine. And from Putin's strategy, if you guys have been paying attention, President Trump has been giving this guy a ton of different deadlines that he repeatedly just has to push back because Putin doesn't want to negotiate. He's leading Trump on, and I think President Trump actually knows that he's leading him on, and he just needs to allow him to do so because Trump needs to bite for more time because there's no serious solution to this, that it doesn't take a large amount of political capital that I don't think the president wants to expend right now in Russia. The administration right now has been trying to pivot to the Pacific. That's actually been the government's direction pretty much since Obama's pivot to the Pacific. And right now, a lot of people...
when you say pivot to the Pacific, you're talking about China and Taiwan.
China. So there's a lot of people in the administration who like generally talk about that issue as a top issue. Eldridge Colby is this one of the top guys in the DOJ or in the military, I believe. And then there's also Pete Hegseth, who's been known to talk about like the Pacific a lot. And they don't want to get bogged down in Russia and the type of investment that it would require to militarily remove Putin from Ukraine or stop him from advancing would be a lot. And it would be a kind of sinking of our treasury, our military treasure in Ukraine. So I think he's trying to balance all of this out. I do think it's also worth mentioning that President promised, I think it was originally on day one, that he would end the war in Russia and Ukraine, and he was unable to do so. He's been very successful in different parts of the world. Like I believe he's been very successful in the Middle East, despite people freaking out all the time about what he was doing here. But he campaigned on, I believe, reducing or no aid to Ukraine, and that's where the base seemed. But otherwise, I don't know why people wouldn't start calling President Trump a neocon once more, because he did allow a ton of arms to flow to Ukraine. Despite NATO paying for it, we're still sending a bunch of arms that Ukraine wouldn't be able to procure otherwise. I foresee us being much more involved, though, militarily once there isn't a diplomatic solution to this. Putin, again, is just leading the president on more and more. We're seeing secondary sanctions on India that aren't panning out exactly as the way that we planned. We were trying to sanction Russian oil. There's so many different elements to what's going on here, but...
Well, I mean, for sanctions to work, we need good partners, and Europe has not been a good partner when it comes
Nor
to
have the Indians. They've been really screwing us over on immigration fraud. They've been screwing us over on global trade. They've been screwing us over on call centers,
the
Twitter.
The fact that, Europe has been buying Russian oil for essentially the entirety of the Russian war in Ukraine.
I think they've dramatically reduced. I think the main buyers right now are China, India, and a couple of other small countries. And look, I do and don't blame India, because from their argument, the way they see it is that, hey, we're a bunch of poor Indians, and I have over a billion Indians who need access to cheap oil, and cheap oil from Russia's
literally burning dung is the option.
Exactly. So, we're telling them to live in squalor and not buy cheap Russian oil, but they are, in a sense, also, paying for the Russian economy to run, and it's a wartime economy, and they're just producing arms to attack Ukraine. I think we should keep our eyes on China.
So it's your sense.
I'm a big China guy. I care about Ukraine. I think we should send more arms and money to Ukraine, but our real eyes need to be on.
So it's your sense that there will be no meeting with President Putin?
No, there will be a meeting, but I don't think anything fruitful will come out of it.
So if the United States were to say, okay, we've convinced Kiev to your terms, right? I think
this is like a maximalist ask from Putin. Zelensky can't even come to the table. This is an insulting offer. Think of it from a Ukrainian perspective. How many lives you've just lost?
But does Ukraine
giving up a lot less?
Does Ukraine have the ability to say no? I mean, I know that it's an insulting offer. I understand what you're saying. But if the president says, look, you need to go and talk to him, you need to be here, or whatever the conditions are. I don't know what the White House thinks that the Ukrainian president's going to do. But if the White House, hypothetically, if the White House were to say, hey, you need to sit down and talk because you're losing 5,000 people a week or whatever, and we want this to stop, and you don't have the human capital to continue this, and NATO's not coming in, can he say no? Can Zelensky say no, Mr. President? I'm not going to?
I think this goes beyond Zelensky. I think this goes to the Ukrainian people. The Ukraine is still a democracy right now, and Ukrainians feel this way, and Zelensky is just representing them. Ukrainians want to fight for their country, and I think even if we stopped helping them, even with just Europeans' help, they would keep fighting against the Russians. These guys don't want to let their country fall. They've been under Soviet rule in the past, and I think their fight back is righteous, and they've actually been doing an extremely effective job at it. Also, at this point, I think it's worth noting, Russia's a much bigger country, but they're losing a lot more men because they're on the offensive. And when you're on the offensive in war, you have to give up like a 3-to-1 ratio. It's a lot harder to attack, conquer than it is to defend.
3-to-1's correct when it comes to like taking an position, but still,
Russia doesn't have endless, stockpiles of weapons, and they
got some pretty big weapons though.
I'm like, I don't think,
I got some pretty big.
If I'm a Russian, if I'm putting on my Russian neocon hat, I'm actually not. I'm like very sad and not impressed at all with my military gains on Ukraine. We're not able to subjugate Ukraine at all. Actually, if I'm a Russian military man, I'm like embarrassed by the gains that we've made, and they should have been able to end this in the first few weeks. That was Putin's original plan. By
Understood.
The way. That's what he wanted to do.
You realize, Russia's not sending their best stuff. Just so we're clear, and that's. I think you are right. I think Trump is in a position here because this whole thing was no new wars.
They're not sending their best stuff. Is Russia trying their hardest to take over Ukraine right now? Yes,
I have no idea.
Yes.
I'm just telling you. We've known for decades what kind of weapons they have. And that's where it gets really scary. You go back 20, 30 years, a nuclear war was a big fear for a lot of people, even in our country. Phil knows, we used to do drills for that stuff. Yeah. But the point I'm making is, with Trump, the position he's in, the whole no new wars and we got to end these wars, he's in a tough position here too, because the American people don't want these wars. We don't support these wars,
I don't think that I think the American people don't support sending
money,
Americans.
troops.
Well, definitely not Americans. I do think that I think that to Elaad's point earlier about where the money is coming from to pay for the arms, I think if you can sell the American people on Europe is paying American weapons manufacturers to manufacture weapons, and those are the weapons that are going to Ukraine, I think you could sell the American people on that because.
I don't know. Trump was brought in under the banner of, and we got to end these wars, these forever wars.
A lot of that was because of the financial aspect, right? Because the American people aren't doing the dying.
Yet.
Because okay. So now that's a whole different context that you're adding to it. So that's not what I'm talking about. Right. But the American people aren't doing the dying, right? The financing has been the problem. People are like, look, man, I can't even buy a house and we're spending all this money over in Russia or over in Ukraine trying to save Ukraine. I can't afford groceries, but we're spending all this money over in Ukraine. It was a financial argument that the American people were most compelled by. So if you can convince the American people, look, not only are we not paying for these weapons, but we have Russia or we have Europe paying for these weapons and they're being made in America. That means they're American jobs that are being, made. The money's going into American pockets to American people that work at these weapons manufacturers. And we're also putting a hurt onto our geopolitical enemies because Russia is a geopolitical enemy. Don't forget, just a couple of years back, there were Russians, the Wagner group was fighting with Americans in Syria. There's a couple pretty famous engagements where U.S. Special Forces were fighting with Russian PMCs. Sure. And Americans, or at least Americans that pay attention, remember that. And they still look at Russia as an enemy. So I think that the American people could be sold on that just so long as it's not Americans that are paying for it.
Maybe. I understand what you're saying. It depends on which Americans you're asking. Nancy Pelosi, people that work at Lockheed Martin, sure.
Normies.
No, I'm talking about people in the industry making money on it. But I think, the average person on the street, should we be in wars? Do you support war? Should we be helping Israel? Should we be helping Ukraine? I think I mean, personally, like just based on my conversations with people in my relationships, people don't want, and that was a big thing Trump ran on. No, end the forever wars, no new wars, end the forever wars. So
You
I
know,
don't know.
Sean, I think it's really easy to say. So, like, what does that look like if we're just ending all the new wars right now? Like, what does that mean? Leaving Ukraine, not sending any arms over to Ukraine, and then allowing them to take over as much of Ukraine as they'd like?
I mean, it's a great question. If it were up to me, yeah. It's not our war. It's not our fight. You know, I get it. I understand the point you're making, and it sucks. Don't get me wrong, but like, why are we fighting it? It was like Desert Storm.
I don't think we are.
It's like, why did we go into Iraq after 9/11? That made no sense. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we get taken advantage of. And people in the military, I've had a lot of people, friends that were in the military, they love going to war because they get paid triple time. You know what I mean? So yeah, there is like the economic standpoint of it, to Phil's point. But no, I think most people just don't see the benefits of war and like why people need to die.
Yeah, I think we need to be pretty clear here. We're not fighting this war. The Ukrainians are fighting this war. Ukrainians are dying. We are not
Our money's
paying
going.
a death toll. We are getting paid to send over weapons
Right.
at this point.
Our money
and
went.
also, like, I mean, I feel like it's such an easy, basic take. Like, yeah, war is bad, but war is happening, and like, what are you going to do about the war that is happening? How are you going to respond?
Why is it our job?
Because appeasing war only begets more war.
Why is it our job? Why is it America's job?
Well, like we also have,
the United States
we
is
also
the only
have
country that can.
No, because we have a NATO allyship with a bunch of European countries. So, like, what do you think our relationship with NATO should be? The president thinks we should increase our defense spending to 5% to make sure that we're the preeminent power. But you think we should what?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, Trump ran on ending the wars, ending forever wars, no new wars. I mean, are you noticing this in the White House? Has the message changed? You know, we have to start wars and we have to be involved in every war forever. I mean, is that the messaging now?
No, I think you just read into the president what you want to hear. I think the president ran on a lot of different things, like peace through strength, and he ran on Iran never being able to get a nuclear weapon. I don't know if you were paying attention, and he's done.
I absolutely
he's
was paying attention.
Yeah, so he's abided by a lot of those promises. So
I'm still like up in the air as whether or not you're going to the White House. So we'll see.
what are you talking about?
Let's bring Angela into the.
I don't know. You must have
yeah.
not seen my recent scoops
have
because
Angela, should
I have
we
a
be
lot
in
of
war?
videos.
Should we be in
of
forever
me-
wars as a Democrat? Should we be in forever?
I mean,
wars?
I'm also not a war person, so I tend to agree with you. But I hear both of what you're saying. I think it's complicated. I don't have the answers, but I tend to not want to be in war, and I definitely would have questions about why we're involved, or
Well,
why we should be.
was it the argument that Trump was making when he was, campaigning? Was that an argument based on economics, or do you think that it was was an argument based on not being involved in war overall?
I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm not sure what his reasoning.
For me, like I said earlier, I think that it was an argument based on economics. I think the American people got behind it because of the fact that it was an argument based on economics. Most people were really hurting in the lead up to the election. People couldn't pay their bills, grocery prices, and they were just like coming off the shock of significant inflation for multiple years. And so they were just like, why are we giving these people money? Why are we giving these people money? Every time I heard an argument, it was a monetary argument. It was a financial argument. We shouldn't be spending money on these wars because we can't afford them. Why are we giving money to Israel? Why are we giving money to Ukraine? Those are the two big things. We shouldn't be spending our money on this, et cetera, et cetera. So if the argument can be made, look, Europe's paying for this stuff. Our NATO allies are paying for this stuff. They're sending us money. They're sending money to our weapons manufacturers, and our weapons manufacturers are sending weapons to Ukraine so the Ukrainians can defend themselves. I feel like that's an argument that the American people will say, all right, fine, I don't care. Because I understand your perspective, Sean, that, it's not our fight. It's not a fight the United States wants to be in. But the United States is not over there doing the dying. We do not have troops on the ground. I don't even believe the people that say that there's special forces on the ground. Maybe there are CIA operatives.
Sure.
Human intel and stuff like that, gathering information, but there's not special ops guys. Like those dudes are not there. They're legitimately not. Any Americans that are over there as privateers. They're volunteers. They went and they joined up because they actually want to fight because, whatever, they like war. But that doesn't mean that the American people are doing the actual dying. And that matters, right? If you're not paying for it and Americans aren't dying, most Americans are like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to go to work then.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, I don't care, whatever. My friend's kid isn't going to lose his legs,
Right.
and I'm not going to have to pay the taxes that are going to this. So what do I care? Right?
Yeah, but I mean, and when 9/11 did happen, and we did have boots on the ground in Iraq, a lot of sentiment around the country was, we don't, well, why are we there? Like, what's the point? Like,
I feel like that didn't really start until like 2008.
I'm just saying, like, and that became
it took some
biggest,
time.
Yeah,
and it was honestly, it was
it was a ground up movement from the people who were like, we're sick of this.
Well,
Why are we in the same war constantly? Like we've been fighting with Russia for how long now? Like it's.
Well, we haven't.
Insane.
Okay,
It,
so
like, gets to
so
the
wait a
point
minute.
where
You're conflating topics. We
I'm
haven't.
just saying war in general. Like,
But we
people get
haven't
sick
been
of it.
fighting with Russia. Like we have not been.
No, I
in
understand,
combat.
but
with
they're always
Russia.
used as the boogeyman or whatever. And it's just like people get kind of sick of the whole
Russia. I mean, I get.
You know what I mean? Like all we can do is war. It's like the Democrats. It's like all they can do is war.
We're the most. When you're the most powerful military in the world,
Yeah.
that's the thing that people are going to come to you and say, "Hey, we have this problem." Your allies are going to come to you and say, "Hey, we have this problem, and we want you to help us." Like that. Whether or not the American people get behind it, that is part of being the most powerful military in the world. Now, world policing, I agree. We shouldn't be the world police, but I think that there's a difference between being the world police, right? Taking the initiative to say that we're going to stop this and stop that, and then selecting which conflicts we're going to involve ourselves in. That's one thing.
Sure.
As opposed to when someone else says, "Hey, come help us. We're your ally," or we have good relations. Maybe they're not NATO nations or whatever, but they're like, we are an allied nation. We've had good relations. We do a lot of economic work together. We've got this issue, this military issue. Can you come help us? That's a different thing.
Sure.
And I think that whereas I would probably say most Americans don't make the distinction, but as far as like Washington goes, there's definitely a distinction in that.
Mm-hmm. It's a business of war.
I mean, I think that's what happens when you've got the biggest military on earth. War is part of the business. It's part of the business of being the biggest military on earth and also having the reserve currency.
Bold Lib, can I ask you, is war bad?
I mean, there's, obviously there's reasons why, people are fighting it.
Wow.
That's a good
That was
poll.
so
It's a good
insightful.
question for the chat. A poll chat.
Yeah.
Warhawk or
I mean, it's
I'm making
obviously
a joke.
yeah.
Is it good?
No, I
It's a
I
little bit
know.
more
It's obviously it's
complicated,
complicated, so there's not as simple. But I
Is the
hate
best
to see
offense-
people dying. I mean, I don't, that's the part I don't like about. Obviously, people, there's very strong reasons why people are doing it and putting their lives on the line. So yeah, of course, it's a
For a bold lib, I'm surprised you don't love Ukraine. Bold libs love Ukraine, so
Yeah.
it's off brand for you. No, am I wrong? No, I'm still pretty certain this is like a 70-30, 80-20 issue.
people
just
are
among
always
Democrats.
asking those questions. So
All right, so we're going to jump to we're going to at least talk a little bit more about Trump and Putin. From Fox News, Putin will hold first ever in-person meeting since Ukraine invasion next week in Alaska. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin will meet next Friday, August 15th, for the first in-person meeting between the leaders of the U.S. and Russia since Moscow launched its deadly 2022 invasion of Ukraine. The leaders are expected to meet in Alaska, Trump said in a post on Truth Social. The highly anticipated meeting between myself as President of the United States of America and President Vladimir Putin of Russia will take place next Friday, August 15th, 2025, in the great state of Alaska, Trump wrote in his Friday evening post. Further details to follow. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I love the thank you for the attention to this matter. It's my favorite Trumpism now. The location of the meeting was a major point of interest after the summit was first floated following a call between Trump and Putin on Wednesday after White House envoy Steve Witkoff traveled to Moscow to meet with the Kremlin chief. Hungary, Switzerland, Italy, and the UAE were all under consideration, with Putin originally favoring Hungary, according to sources familiar with the planning. The Kremlin chief also shot down the idea of meeting in Italy, according to reports on Friday, due to Rome's perceived closeness with the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. Following the Wednesday, Trump-Putin call, the U.S. president also spoke with Zelensky, along with European leaders, on the potential for a trilateral meeting. So I don't know how realistic a trilateral meeting would be, but I mean, again, to your point earlier, Elaad, do you think that if Trump says, hey, Zelensky, get on a plane, do you think that he has the ability to say no?
I don't think Putin wants to meet with Zelensky because it gives him more credibility than I think Putin believes he deserves. So he doesn't want to give him
But what
type
if
of respect to meet with him. I think Putin and Trump are gonna meet in Alaska and nothing's gonna get done. Like a bold lib at a bar, he's being led on.
What do you think would happen if Donald Trump were to say no? Get on a plane, Zelensky. Do you think Zelensky would?
I think Zelensky definitely would. I think it makes Zelensky look like a more potent political figure if he's meeting with Putin. Putin's never met with Zelensky. The way Putin talks about Zelensky is like that he's a rogue state, that Ukraine, is a completely rogue actor, and he's a leader of an illegitimate state. So if he meets with him, it's giving him like that credibility. And so Zelensky wants to meet with Putin. Putin doesn't want to meet with Zelensky. Putin wants to waste Trump's time in this meeting and lead him on more. And the war is going to go on because Putin wants definitely a bigger bite of Ukraine because they made baby gains. Russian military, very unimpressive gains in Ukraine. Not crushing it.
I do think it would be based if Trump got Putin to admit that they wanted Hillary to win.
What?
I think that would go viral. If Trump gets Putin to admit that they actually wanted Hillary to win and not Trump the first time around.
Why would he bring that up when they're talking about war?
I was gonna ask, do you think that will happen?
That would be fantastic.
Fantastic.
it would just end everyone's brains would melt.
like,
but
Trump's
that
like, I need
is
some
what it
clicks.
kind of looked like. Is Russia did want Hillary, not Trump, the first time around, based on everything that's coming out with Tulsi and everything else. So
Maybe.
Yes.
But
Zelensky is a chump. Yes. So
Zelensky's a chump?
yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I agree with a lot. So yeah, Putin's like, he's one of the world leaders. He might be a terrible person, but Zelensky is some dude who dances and he's for the worst corrupt country in the world.
Democratically
for many years.
elected.
Sure, that's what they say.
You don't think he's kosher?
I don't think he's kosher.
I believe he was democratically
Zelensky?
elected. Yeah. I mean, we could dislike him, but
Oh, fine. Either way, but I don't think Putin thinks he stands up to him in any certain way. Shape.
No, I mean, I think I agree with you guys. I think that Vladimir Putin doesn't have any respect for Zelensky.
Yeah.
But I don't know that. I think that Donald Trump does have the ability to say, look, he's here. Like if he were to bring him in and surprise Putin. Now, Putin might be like, all right, well, I'm leaving. That might actually happen, and I think that I don't think
gotcha interview like.
Well, yeah, I don't think.
Like Alex Stein, where he brings someone else on the show.
Yeah.
where it's like,
I mean, it's possible.
They're beefing.
It's
yeah,
possible.
yeah.
I think that honestly, like, if you really think about it, I don't think that Donald Trump would want to risk that because
Right.
Putin would get up and be
Yeah.
like, all right, well, I'm leaving.
Took a lot to get him here.
And so I don't think that he would want to
it would be base
risk
though.
it. I mean, it would be funny, but I don't think Donald Trump wants to risk that.
Yeah.
Trump's talked a lot of ish about getting this settled, and he's failed valiantly for forever since January.
In my opinion, it was a bad idea to talk about this as something that he could just walk in and make the deal.
Yeah.
Because because Putin has all the cards. Trump talks about who's got the cards and stuff. There is absolutely no reason for Putin to say, okay, well, I'm going to stop then now that Trump's back. Because, I mean, the U.S. could threaten military involvement, but everyone knows where that leads. And whether or not the U.S. would actually start down that road, nobody wants.
And then I think you
Come
lose
to
the
the
people.
results.
You lose the favor.
Well, the American people, well, Putin knows that the American people don't support that.
Right.
Like we were just talking about how the American people are like, okay, well, if Americans aren't doing the dying and we're not paying for it, fine. But the American people wouldn't be like, oh, you want to risk nuclear war so that way you can protect Ukraine, which I don't give an S about.
Right.
The American people that would not fly.
Right.
Now, I do think that the U.S. I think that this particular engagement or this war has shown that Russia is kind of a paper tiger beyond their nuclear weapons, right? Like if it were U.S. versus Russia without nuclear weapons, there is no question in my mind the United States would stomp an absolute mud hole in them, right? Just absolutely decimate the Russians. And I think the Russians know that. And I think that the only thing that they're relying on their nuclear arsenal to prevent that from happening.
But that put to Elaad's earlier point. I mean, that's if like China doesn't, back them up, and
I'm only talking about a head-to-head kind of.
I know, but all of a sudden you get people teaming up, and all of a sudden we're in World War III.
Well, yeah, I mean, but World War III would mean nuclear weapons. Like I said, you're talking about military powers of the U.S., conventional military powers of the U.S. versus Russia.
Sure.
Russia just doesn't.
Right.
Russia doesn't have a chance because Russia can't even.
But that's not how war is fought anymore. It's not fought head to head anymore.
The point that I'm making is Russia can't steamroll the Ukraine. Right. They don't have the military might that people assumed before the Ukraine war.
They kind of can, though. Like, they could turn it into glass.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so again, not talking about nuclear weapons is the point that I'm trying to make here.
All right.
Like,
Sean, why don't
people
you
are
think
playing fair. What's that?
Why don't you think they've used these nuclear weapons that you're talking about?
That's a real good question. That's a real, and
it's
scary to think about, like, when Putin's on his deathbed.
I know
what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, he doesn't, because he'd become incredibly isolated as a result of it. Like China.
Well, if you're on your deathbed.
Well, I don't know what to say. Crazy leaders on their deathbed. What could they do? Is Putin on his deathbed? I don't know.
Not
What
yet.
are we even talking about?
I mean, there was a rumor in the media that he had cancer. Was like a couple months ago or whatever. He had cancer. Have you guys heard this? I mean, it was a story. Yeah.
I just saw something in the chat.
Oh, I was like, I don't know why that's funny. Like Putin with cancer. I mean, maybe it is funny.
Well, I mean, but even if that, like, we've heard rumors, but you don't see him falling apart the way that you would imagine.
Yeah, right. But he has the best health care of like anyone, and like on Earth almost. Like
the thing the point that I'm making is the argument was he had cancer and he was degrading and et cetera, et cetera.
It was like rumors. We didn't know. Yeah,
it was 2 years ago, and we haven't seen the fruition of this alleged cancer. Right? Like,
well, you can live with cancer for years.
No, to rewind, what we were actually talking about was Russia's military capacity in Ukraine and their ability to overtake it, which they haven't displayed and haven't done a very good job of. But like, they do have nukes. They can nuke Ukraine. It wouldn't do much for them, but conventionally they are clearly unable and falling very short, probably losing hundreds of thousands of Russians for a lot less than I think they anticipated to get originally. This looks like, from a Russian perspective, almost like their Afghanistan. Well, Afghanistan Part 2, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah.
No, it's not even close to Afghanistan, because like almost every I can't think of a significant engagement the United States lost in Afghanistan.
Oh, that way.
It's a metaphor for being bogged down.
And like waste of time and a waste of money.
Like, unable to fulfill your ultimate like military goals.
To the political ends of it.
It's like when we went into Afghanistan, we thought, oh, we're going to change these people. We're going to turn them into Americans. They're going to have blue jeans.
That was
and stuff,
Iraq.
and
That's not what we thought in Afghanistan.
Well, Afghanistan. Well, yeah, you're right. We turned Afghanistan into glass, and then we thought we can go to Iraq and do that. But yeah.
Yeah, like in Iraq, it was like, oh, we're going to set these
Afghanistan
people free. We'll be welcomed as liberators in Iraq, et cetera, et cetera. Afghanistan, it was just like, you're in the Stone Age, and we're going to keep you there for the next 30 decades if you don't
nation
turn
building in
over.
Afghanistan.
And the funny thing, and after 9/11, you remember this, Phil, like the Americans were all on board for that strike in Afghanistan because we had just got hit.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone was out there, rah, rah, rah. And even I hate war, and I was supporting it because it's like you just killed, thousands of Americans. So it's like, of course. But then when it went to Iraq, that was the bridge too far for a lot of people. And that's all I'm saying. Like, this stuff escalates, and you're going to lose the favor of the American people the more we're fighting in these wars. That's my opinion.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't think that I think that we've made it fairly clear that the American people don't support having an actual war in Ukraine where the U.S. is actually on the ground and involved in the fight. But all right, I think that we've talked enough about military force in Ukraine. Maybe we should talk about military force in Mexico.
Let's go.
From the post-millennial. Trump authorizes military force against drug cartels. Report. President Donald Trump has reportedly ordered the Pentagon to begin using military force against drug cartels that have been deemed terrorist organizations under his administration. People familiar with the matter revealed to the New York Times. Anna Kelly, a spokeswoman for the White House, told the outlet when asked about Trump authorizing military force against cartels, President Trump's top priority is to protect the homeland, which is why he took the bold step to designate several cartels and gangs as foreign terrorist organizations. The sources said that the U.S. military officials have begun preparing options for how to go after the designated cartel groups. Per the outlet, the directive is focused on U.S. forces directly capturing or killing people involved in the drug trade. Now, I just saw a tweet from President Sheinbaum, and she straight up said that there is no chance of U.S. military forces in Mexico. Now, I think she was referring to boots on the ground. Actually, let me see if I can find that.
She's sure.
Well, while you're looking for that, Phil, Elaad,
Yeah.
do you support this? Do you support boots on the ground in Mexico?
Yeah, but I'm nervous about it. But yes, I feel like this has to be dealt with militarily. I'm very nervous of an outlandish cartel response or the killing of Americans visiting in Mexico, or even them breaching American territory and trying to send a message to Americans. But I'm confident President Trump is doing this lightly. Also, I think we have. I wonder what troops she's talking about specifically, because I do believe we already are deeply ingratiated there with our DEA agents, or have been on and off again for some time.
So, yeah, I don't know. I can't find the
It's
actual.
the president of Mexico, Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sheinbaum.
ChatGPT says she's sharply rejected. There's going to be any U.S. troops deployed to Mexico. There'll be no invasion. She's saying it's going to violate their sovereignty.
Yeah, I mean, you hear rumors that there are former U.S. military special forces guys that are actually training some of the cartel members.
Yes.
Which is a
one of the
terrible development. And I think that should they actually be, that actually turn out to be true, the U.S. should, deal with these people accordingly.
I mean, I agree with a lot, in principle of maybe having boots on the ground, or at least trying to get the situation under control. But it's what happens if we take out the cartels? They're just going to get replaced by something. You know what I mean? It's it's the same thing that's happening in Gaza. It's you go after them. It's you can't destroy an ideology, and you can't destroy a society's
It's a drug trade and an ideology.
We have.
I believe in the cartel.
No, it's an ideology in Mexico that they are the hammer, right? If you mess around in Mexico, they're coming after
and then
you.
we smash their hammer.
I understand what you're saying.
There is precedent for the U.S. to be involved militarily going after cartel members.
I understand, but I'm just saying in Mexico, the people have accepted the cartels as this iron fist, or whatever you want to call it. Us going in and disrupting it, don't you think something else is just going to pop up in their place? I mean,
allegedly, or ostensibly, what should happen is the U.S. go in and actually directly involve themselves with the cartels. What should happen is the local police forces that are supposed to be, run by the municipalities, they should step in and say, okay, we weren't able to fight the cartels. Now that the U.S. has either decapitated or significantly degraded their ability to murder people by the dozens.
I know.
They should step in and say, okay, well, we're going to provide for the people of Mexico, because that's the whole point, right? You vote for people. There is a municipality. You pay your taxes. The taxes pay for police. They're supposed to be able to.
Understood. That's our system, but obviously, the cops in Mexico, if you pay them, you don't get a ticket. You know what I mean? Their whole thing is just shaking down people. So it's it's a currency. It's a currency of crime.
The U.S. should not. Is the argument? Or are you making the argument that the U.S. shouldn't? Or are you playing the foil?
I think I personally think the best offense is a good defense, and I do believe in a lot of those principles that come out of the American First movement, where it's we need to be focused on home and focused on.
How is a narco country on our southern border not focused at home?
As
the point.
I understand what you're saying. Now, if they're coming in and trying to attack us, Elaad is saying, they're doing a tax on American soil. I understand, but if they're like actually attacking us on our soil, like dropping bombs and stuff, then yes, obviously we're in a defensive stance. But us go, I'm just
would
saying,
take bombs?
I'm just saying, whatever. You know what I mean? Like they're coming down there on the street, they're going down, they're mowing down Americans. Of course, we're gonna have to.
So the death toll isn't high enough?
All I'm saying is when you're the bully and you go in and you say, hey, we're going to fundamentally change this, just like Afghanistan, just like Iraq, you can't go in and tell people, hey, the way you live is wrong. We're going to kill them and put in what we want. It just doesn't work.
The point that I'm making, though, is they're already operating in the United States.
Sure.
They're killing Americans.
Sure. Get them out. That's the get them out. Get them out of the United States. Then when they start, you get them out, and then they're actually like attacking us, like doing like bombing buildings or cars or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? Like actual, war. Then yes, open game, like destroy them, because they, you want to be in the defensive position, especially as the bigger person, the juggernaut. We don't want to be seen as a person going in and just massacring people. And then saying, "Oh, you guys figure it out. Oh, the local police are going to take over. Everything's going to be okay." You know what I mean?
So, what do you say to the idea that the United States has actually been disassembling terrorist organizations for 20 years? And whereas I understand if you're making hold on. If you're making the argument that changing a government doesn't work, I can concede that. But the idea that the United States is not successful or has not been successful dismantling terrorist organizations, that's just flat out wrong, right? So a lot of people love to say, oh, well, the U.S. tries to go in and do all these changes to these countries, et cetera, and it never works. But what they're saying is you can't change the government and expect to have a Western-style democracy. Sure. That doesn't mean that you can't kill enough of the bad guys where they stop. And hold on. And that's what the U.S. has been doing for 20 years. There has been a sharp decline in terrorist attacks against the United States in the past 15 years. The last time there was some kind of significant upswing in terrorist attacks was ISIS, and the U.S. completely wiped ISIS out.
Understood. So you think Obama's drone campaigns were good?
I don't know. I don't think that it.
Well, why not?
I'm not talking about drone campaigns.
Well, why not? We're going
because I'm not talking about drone campaigns.
I'm just
Let
saying.
me finish the sentence and stop talking before I'm done. I'm not talking about just drone campaigns. I'm talking about dismantling terrorist organizations. The drone campaigns were one aspect of an overall system. Right. So it was intel. It was actual boots on the ground, like Delta Force going in and killing bad guys. Sure. That's why Bagram Air Force Base in Iraq is still has U.S. soldiers there, is because they use that as a forward operating base. Or they did use that as a forward operating base when Syria was being overrun by ISIS, and then subsequently when they had the civil war that was going on. Right. Sure. So like the U.S. is extremely good at dismantling terrorist organizations, and we've got 20 years of doing it. And I understand, like, people love to say, oh, well, Afghanistan, blah, blah, blah. The U.S. didn't lose engagements in Afghanistan. The U.S. lost the politics. And the U.S. there were serious fights in Iraq, but even that, like, the U.S. lost the politics of it. The U.S. didn't lose a lot of engagements. The U.S. military and U.S. political goals are totally different things. And the U.S. military is second to none at finding and killing terrorists. Sure. And if the U.S. has actually decided, or if the U.S. were to actually decide, hey, we think that the terrorist the cartels in Mexico are terrorist organizations, and we're going to apply the same pressure to them that we did to ISIS, I don't think that it's the situation where, we can't do anything about it anymore.
I understand. I'm just saying we have to understand the position we're in as the biggest military in the world. And I personally think like what Obama did put us way behind in a lot of those.
What about Trump when he came in?
Building. What about Trump was always anti-war.
Trump came in and took ISIS out.
I know.
And it was a good policy.
I know. Listen, I'm not saying it's always the worst decision. Angela, maybe you want to chime in. Should we be bombing Iraqi kids?
Wait.
Yes, we should. Should we be bombing Iraqi kids? Could you
should
possibly
we be sending
phrase
drones?
this
Should
in
we
an
be
any
sending
more
drones?
disingenuous way?
Should our
Bombing Iraqi kids in Mexico?
should our most popular president be sending drones over to destroy Iraqi kids?
What?
It's a good question.
We're talking about the cartels, bro.
Angela.
No, we're talking about something else.
Okay.
I
you
wanted
switched
to hit
everything
on
up?
one
My
of
bad.
the big lib
bad.
issues during this administration that's kind of been an 80-20 issue for them, and that's kind of President Trump's like reinvigoration of ICE and like the Democrat opposition to that. I think it was Governor from Minnesota, Tim Walz, said of the ICE that they're like the Gestapo, and it's part and parcel for how many Democrats describe ICE. What do you think of the president's, I guess, immigration strategy?
I mean, being in New York City, like I'm giving Trump props on this one. Like from what I've seen, this is again. I know but it's a bold lib thing to say this. I feel like it's a bold statement because a lot of Democrats wouldn't say that, right? Like I want to give, like I'm not rooting against Trump and I'm not rooting against the country. Like I'll definitely give him. I think that's an area that he's been really successful and done well at. So. I mean, I'm happy with that. I think he has been successful in doing that. And yeah, I definitely don't agree with it, violence against ICE agents and against ICE. So, and I do believe that people, should be here legally and go through the right process and steps. So, again, with the sense of humanity, like I care about people and their families and their situations, but I also, if they're here illegally, like I feel, that that's a concern that needs to be dealt with, and they should, like, I wouldn't go to another country. Like I feel for their situations and why they're fleeing, but I wouldn't expect to go to another country and just be able to be there.
You just got canceled by the rest of your Democrat friends.
I mean, it's one by one, right? No, but like, I don't think that that's like unreasonable to say that. I think that sounds reasonable to me.
I'm so unreasonable when it comes to immigration policy. I'm the most. I'm probably the most hardline person that you're going to meet. So, you're not even close to unreasonable in my opinion.
10 years, right? 10 years?
No, but moratorium's going to like 30. We need
30 years. 30 years.
kidding me?
No,
It's
right.
like in the 1920s.
I want a 10-year moratorium on all immigration
10 years.
except for
Yeah.
O1 visas. I want to see actual punishment for people that hire or rent apartments to illegal immigrants, because the best case scenario is a scenario where people deport themselves. I don't like the idea of ICE having to run people down and going through, neighborhoods to pick up illegals and stuff. So the best possible situation is making it incredibly hard for them to stay. So if you are renting to someone that's an illegal, that person should possibly lose their property. Maybe second offense, they lose their property. Definitely, they go to jail in their first offense. If you are hiring illegals, you should run the risk of losing your business. Tax remittances at 90%, so that way they can't get the money that they make out of the United States. And of course, anyone that's caught that's illegal, they just go out and they can never come back. So
And H-1Bs, because that's corporate slavery.
and H-1Bs, I like not H-1, the O-1 visas, but there should be a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Pretext, to the situation, right? Like you can't just be like, oh, well, I have an O1 visa, so blah, blah, blah. Like you have to have the right ideology, no communists, no leftists. We have to deal with our own leftists here. So those kind of things. You have to love America. You can't hate America to come to America.
Yeah.
I guess to wrap it on this, like, what does the panel think as far as, like, should we go and kill the cartels?
Yes.
Okay.
We should
Start a war with
we don't
them?
need
I
to
mean, it's
kill 'em.
essentially- it's effectively
you're
a
like
war,
you're
right?
very hyperbolic. No, we should stop them from doing what they're doing. We can go in them like we did with ISIS, like a lot of other things. America has capabilities of stopping them. We don't need to just bomb them and bomb whatever you were saying about bombing the civilians.
I wouldn't say
Well,
bomb.
look, the Ginsu missile's really good, right?
There we go.
You're really
And how does-
targeting an individual. You're not targeting blowing up children and stuff.
Drones are big nowadays.
Nowadays they've got the Hellfire that's literally loaded with swords.
Well, we have stuff from space that we can drop down.
Lasers,
Not yet.
Jewish lasers.
No, we do.
Not
There's
space.
spikes up there that drop down. Look
No,
this up. Oh, yeah.
rods from God are not real yet.
Okay, I could have sworn I saw that. I mean,
That would
you
be
might want
that
to
would
check
be-
me on
that
that,
would
but
be
it
something,
exists.
if
It
that's
exists.
true.
Yeah.
Wait, that's what they're talking about, Sean. They're talking about the Ginsu missile. Like, which is that? You mean the blades?
No, he's talking about rods from God,
talking
like
about
a
the spikes,
tungsten,
like the-
tungsten
literally
spike
outer
in
space.
tungsten spike in orbit at like 200 miles,
And it
You
drops
drop it, and then it's
midpoint.
all
Yeah,
kinetic
okay.
energy.
I understand what that is.
I think that does exist.
Well, yeah, there's, we have to stop them, brother. We have to.
I mean, but you have to like also consider again, we're the most powerful military. It's Mexico.
Cool.
You know, we've seen the "Made in Mexico" signs on
It's a
stuff,
theoretical
and, you know,
kinetic energy.
how
What does Made in
quality
Mexico have to
those
do
are.
with-
I'm just saying, like, we have to consider like what it looks like to the rest of the world and what like the favor of the people.
We've
will
never
be.
cared about what the world cared about.
I
when we
understand, but
taken
we've also
action.
never went into Mexico and started a war with cartels.
Yes, we have. We did. We absolutely have.
Oh, okay. When
We've
was
had
that?
we've had military. What's his name?
The
Chavez.
war on drugs.
Yeah, I mean the war.
okay.
There have been multiple times where like actual Delta guys, actual Delta force has been used to pick up cartel members.
Sure, but I'm saying we have not gone in and disseminated them,
We're not
destroyed them.
talking about. We're not talking about like actual like invasion.
Oh, okay. I thought that's what we were talking about.
No. There's not a
I
discussion.
mean,
of
she's
an
saying that
invasion.
there's nothing, but the panel was saying that they were supporting an invasion.
No, we just talk about going against cartels, not invading Mexico.
So
brother.
I think
there's a difference.
Slow down. There's a spectrum here, right?
Yes.
Like we're not going to do regime change in Mexico.
Yeah.
Despite their government being a narco state. So, hey, maybe
They got Pablo
these
Escobar.
good
Not kosher,
time.
are they, those son
They're
of a
gonna be
guns?
with a good time.
So Delta Force was involved in picking up Pablo Escobar in Colombia and El Chapo in Mexico.
Yeah, we
Sure,
could do
I'm just-
targeted raids against powerful narco cartel gangs in like northern Mexico,
Okay.
farther from the centralized government where they're most potent on our northern border. Those that distribute lethal drugs to American citizens and get rich off of that, we are coming after you. The president is coming after you and expect to get raided soon enough if you are on American soil or Mexican soil. And we need to go after the Chinese too, because the Chinese are involved in the precursor chemicals that arrive in Mexico.
That mushroom story is wild with China that they just like got away with that. You know, I don't want to get too far off, but that was insane.
I'm not sure about it.
Portobello mushrooms.
The mushroom that they brought in that was like going to cause like a big like disease or pandemic.
Oh, yeah,
That was
right.
insane. That were just that's normal.
All right, we're going to jump to this story to close it out tonight. From the Post Millennial again, Virginia high school staff accused of secretly helping students get abortions, including pressuring a girl who was 5 months along. All righty. An investigation is underway in Virginia's largest public school district after allegations came out claiming a staff at a local high school arranged and funded abortions for students without notifying their parents. The claims involved Centerville High School in Fairfax County, where employees allegedly helped at least one 17-year-old obtain an abortion in 2021. The story was first reported by the WC Dispatch, which said there were 2 instances of female minor students saying school officials arranged and bankrolled abortions at Fairfax Health Center without so much as a phone call to their parents. Under Virginia law, physicians must attest that at least one parent or guardian was contacted before performing the abortion on a minor. The 17-year-old student was allegedly assisted by a school social worker who scheduled and paid for the appointment and kept the information from the student's parents. A second female student who was 5 months pregnant was allegedly told by the same social worker that the student had no other choice, but the student fled from the clinic and did not go through with the procedure. Per the outlet, school principal Chad Liam allegedly greenlit the procedures, which were paid for with school funds. Well, this is disgusting.
I didn't know they earmarked school funds for that.
Apparently they do. Any time the conservatives or the right says things like, oh, the Democrats think their kids are yours. Democrats sit there and protest, no, 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 no. And then you hear about stuff like this, like, students 5 months along, right? Like, my girlfriend is 7 months along, but I just imagine like 5 months along, you're going to abort a baby. We were, feel the kicking and stuff like that was a baby. I don't care what anyone says. 5 months, it's a baby. I don't care what you say. If I understand correctly, at 5 months, it's possible that the baby could be born and survive under, it has to be in care and stuff, but like it can survive at 5 months. So like, the idea that thankfully the girl ran away from them, which kind of makes it more horrible, right? Like the girl's like being ushered in, like, and it just gives you like this concept of like them trying to be like, no, you got to get rid of that thing, and they're just like, no. So yeah, I mean, I can't imagine thinking that this is acceptable, and I imagine that you don't either, but
No, I don't. Like, it's very icky. Like, right? So hearing it is very icky. I am pro-choice, but also coming from like a health background, mental health, whatever. Like, this is all shady because there should be there. You know, they do need to have parents' permission to do anything as a minor. So this does not seem like it was gone about obviously the right way.
Well, that's kind of the shocking thing, and like this a lot of this came out during the critical race theory and the COVID, during COVID when parents could see what their kids were doing in school. But like, it's weird. The Democrats like are so creepy and weird on this every time. Like, I understand what you're saying, the parents' permission. No, that's actually not the case. In a lot of states, the schools trump parents' rights. So the school can say, schools will, treat a kid as trans. If a kid says they're trans, a school will treat them as trans and will never tell the parents, abortion like this, never tell the parents. It's a strange thing. And to Phil's point, like they do say, like these are our kids. We love these kids like they are our kids. And then you see like this weirdness of them including the parents. And I've talked to a lot of educators, especially that were on the left, and their argument is always, their defense is, well, a lot of these kids have troubled homes, and we know if we tell their parents they're trans or they're this, like they're going to be treated like crap at home and yada yada yada. But it's at the end of the day, it's not their kid. So it's like,
I agree with you.
I mean, if you say that, like you're a Republican. If you say, oh, it's parents' rights, like the parents' rights don't exist on the
Well, everywhere that I've lived and worked, I've always needed permission when working with minors from parents to whatever. So this is surprising to me to see. That hasn't been my experience.
Yeah. It depends on what state you're in.
This is a decision that, I don't think should have been done without the parents being involved, for sure.
You've heard stories of minors going for transition surgery and stuff? I mean, this to me seems like the mild situation, which is ridiculous. I mean, the fact that I'm even articulating this idea is mind-blowing to me. But an abortion paid for and handled by the school is actually significantly less. I mean, I'm not sure about that, but it strikes me as significantly less offensive than a teenager or maybe young teen getting some kind of transition surgery without the parents' involvement.
I hear you. I think like those things can like coexist, right? They can both be. I don't know that everyone's situation is different, but I also agree with you in terms of I don't think those surgeries should be done on children either. I definitely think that children can feel a certain way. Maybe they feel more like a man or
like
a woman
they're a
in
truck, right?
Yeah. What?
Like when kids are like, I'm a truck.
Oh.
You're not going to go and like drain out their blood and stuff
But
them
I
full of
think
motor
any
oil,
of
are you?
those, right, like long-lasting surgeries, et cetera, things like that, like very definitive. I disagree with those being done on minors as well.
Yeah, Tim brings this up a lot. It's like you're watching the same movie, but it's two different screens. It's like the Democrats see this as actually protecting the kid. They see this as like healthcare. They see this as like keeping the kid safe, from the parents. So it's like it's hard to like explain to people that literally think they're doing a good thing for kids. Like, hey, this is horrible child abuse, and the parents should be involved. It's a tough one.
I'm not so sure that there are people that really believe that they're helping so much as they really believe that there should be more people that think like them. Right?
No, I think
that
it's a little bit of both.
I think that when it comes to like the LGBT stuff, or especially when you're talking about trans people, I think that they are looking to make more of them. And
for sure. I think it's both. but they truly think what they're doing is, good for the kids. And so, yes, of course they want them to follow in their
So
footsteps.
they're pushing their ideology onto them for their future gain.
I mean,
I don't spread the news.
I'm not so convinced that it's about the child, right? Like, I don't think that it's, I think at the end of the day, like really down deep, it's not like, oh, we have to help these kids. It's, I want more. It's a narcissistic thing for the trans people that are trying to get get kids to transition.
Sure.
It's not like, oh, I want to help these kids. They really need help. No, it's, I want these kids to be like me. It doesn't matter that the kid, because if it was really about the kid, they could be like, well, we can wait, because there are even if you're making arguments that are pro transitioning, right? Doing it to children is bad, if only because there's not enough material to fabricate the genitals of the opposite sex when they're children, because their genitals haven't grown. So now this is not in any way like some kind of endorsement. I think that it's an abomination. But if you really care about the kids, then you would want to have as much material to work with so you have the best possible outcome. But they don't want that. They don't care about that. They want the transition to happen as early as possible because it validates their own mental.
Well, yeah, I agree. There definitely are the activists, and there definitely are the useful idiots. But at the end of the day, most of them still think they're saving the kid's life from committing suicide, because that is,
I think that's
the end goal. If they don't transition the kid, they are convinced that the kid will self-harm.
I disagree.
In a video game.
I disagree. I don't think that it's actually the like fundamental motivation is not about the kid. It's not about saving the kid. It's not about having a kid that transitions and has a better, happier life. It's about get this kid to transition because that validates me. I think it's narcissistic, and I think that it's not about the child, because, like I said, there are arguments for people that agree. Like, I don't agree with this, but I can make the argument that if you think that it's good to transition, you should wait until their genitals have fully matured, so that way you have the most material.
But they don't think they're going to make it that long. They truly, if you talk to, Angela, back me up here.
I
think they're
tend to
lying.
agree. Right. It's hard whenever you generalize. Like, I don't think you can't generalize across the board. I think everything is situational, but I would say in my experience, I more believe that they think that they're helping.
Correct.
Like, I think it might be an overreach or a stretch, or based on being older and thinking,
You've been had.
No, but I do, I have I have a trans cousin. My aunt has, I've seen her go through that process. I genuinely don't think that she is pushing anything on her.
Right.
I think that she feels like she's trying, he was bullied in school, and I think they're unhappy and potentially suicidal. And so I do think my experience has been more that people genuinely are trying to help and think that they're doing the best thing. But I agree with you that it's a young age to be doing a surgery like that.
There are activists at the top totally that know exactly what they're doing and are trying to further the ideology, like you're saying. But I think a lot of the educators especially, truly believe they're helping the kid. They've just been, they've been brainwashed into thinking this is the way.
So your argument is not that the educators, as in people that you would
teachers,
consider
regular
normal people,
so
they
regular
bought
teachers.
into the line
Correct.
that the trans people that are
who run the schools, who are at the top of the schools. Yeah.
Okay, I can understand that. I think that does make sense. I think the people that are the activists that are the most likely to do things like kidnap a kid, take them to a place where they can get a transition.
Yeah.
I think those people are the ones that I'm referring to.
Yes.
And I don't think that they're actually motivated to help people. I think they're motivated by the fact that they're narcissists and that they want to see more people like them, and it validates their own what's the word I'm looking for? Their own self-image.
Yeah, their own motivations. And it's sad too, because the hardest thing on the left these days, which is really sad, it's everything you're saying is right, Phil, about why they shouldn't be doing it. But as soon as you have that discussion with an educator on that level, they shut down. They stop listening, they stop talking. you can bring up all these facts. Hey, you should wait till you're 18. All these things. Hey, this thing about like self-harm in a video game is not necessarily true. Whatever. They just shut down. And so it's like really hard to get through to them. And they're the ones that are overseeing the education system. So.
And like bringing it back to the story that we were on, like I think this social work, that I do think that they probably want to help these children, but there are those measures in place for a reason, right? Like with going through the parents that's it. It's just like, yeah, it's crossing a boundary and a line for sure.
I agree. I think it's most when it comes to teachers that would help a kid get an abortion. I think that is them thinking that they're doing the right thing. Because if you listen to people make arguments for abortion, I think the vast majority of arguments for abortion are bad. But then, because they're always like the extreme cases that are like, 0.01%. Oh, they'll be poor. Oh, so it's better to kill a kid as opposed to have a poor kid?
In a video
That's
game.
insane. That is absolutely insane. So they'll make the argument of what about rape and incest? And then the conservatives are constantly like, okay, we'll make a carve out for rape and incest. How about we do that, and then all other abortions are out. No, because they know that 99% of abortions are actually just about birth control. Mm-hmm. They're not about any of the preconceived or any of the arguments that you hear made, the exceptions and stuff. It's never that.
Well, you got to be careful on the conservative side because birth control is not necessarily the most popular on the conservative side too. So that's where that whole discussion gets really weird. Weird? I think like when you get to the abortion discussion, it's too late. Like there needs to be a whole discussion of what's happening before the abortion discussion. And, the conservatives will say, okay, abstinence, more responsibility, yada, yada. The left will say, they used to say, use like protection and condoms and stuff.
No, the left, yeah.
They used to say that.
That's what the right
used
says
to
now.
say. Well, kind of, really, right? But it's not all the way there like it used to be. So it's like...
So, again, the distinction that you're making is actually the distinction between the Christian conservatives and the broader MAGA coalition. So the broad MAGA coalition would be like the Democrats from the 90s that we were talking about earlier.
But I would still say broad MAGA does not support like the Plan B. It does not support like things like that. Like, Elaad, maybe he can chime in. He's in the White House all the time.
I think MAGA.
What does the White House say about it?
What's your deal, bro?
It's just...
I think MAGA writ large is pro-choice. I think Trump's made this pivot in the Republican Party to now be relatively pro-choice. And when I say that, I mean that he's moving more in the pro-choice direction. In effect, what he's actually doing is allowing the states to make their own decisions and leaving it up to the states. But I don't think that's a fundamentally pro-life position. And compared to Republicans of the past, it's going in the pro-choice direction. Mm-hmm. And I think that's it's effective politically because it's dispelling, I think, Democrats' most potent attack against Republicans. I think for many women, the Republican Party was a little bit unappealing because of the abortion issue that could get a little bit iffy for them. I don't know if I'm breaking any news here, but abortion's a little bit more personal for women than it is for men. So it's a little bit of a touchy subject for them. So I think politically it's very potent, but it's also going at one of the traditional three stools, one of the stools of the Republican Party, which is religious conservatives that are completely unaligned with the larger MAGA movement on this issue, because they go as far as to not even believe in IVF. There are many Christian MAGA people who don't believe in IVF, let alone who are pro-life. So I think that's something important to consider, and that could be a core constituency in the future that could turn against the Republican Party if they keep heading in the pro-choice direction.
But that's like there's what's the terminology? They're hitting themselves in their own foot. Like people like Little Rose or something like that. They're telling people not to vote for Trump because he's not super, pro-life. Like, what are they going to do? Vote for a Democrat so they can kill a baby in 9 months? Like, they have no choice in the matter. Unless you have a third party, if you don't go with someone who's, moderately, or at least leave it up to the states and move to the state that you want to live in, where you can save your baby no matter what, and they can't, whatever they got going on. I'm not a big old pro-life person. I'm okay with it. I love it. Go babies. But you know what I mean? Like what are they going to do? They have no other choice in this matter. They can't alienate themselves against Trump and or the MAGA Republicans.
I think it's also important to understand that I believe most abortions now happen via the abortion pill, which is mifepristone, and there's this one other drug, and this is a drug that during COVID it required like a meeting. Before COVID, it required a meeting with the doctor to be able to be prescribed it. Post COVID, because COVID disallowed people from meeting with one another, they changed the law such that women were able to be prescribed this and didn't have to be with the doctors. We're still under those COVID laws, or post-COVID laws, where women don't have to meet with a doctor to get this drug. This drug's becoming a lot more accessible. So when we think about how abortion will look in the future, it will become more medicalized. Women will have a lot easier access to it through mifepristone. If it ever becomes illegal, women can easily, get access to these drugs despite that, because it's abortion in a pill. You don't need to do a crazy coat hanger or something, which was the stereotype.
So that's going to kill population worse and worse down the road?
The abortion has been one of the worst things for.
No, I agree, but like with making it so easy, like like in the
Of course
future.
it will. I mean,
pop,
if it's,
pop, pop.
I think that it is.
Pop,
I think it's already one of the reasons why it's been such a hit to the population.
Go to 60 million.
Remember the Teen Mom show? Like,
oh, geez.
When I was younger, there was like a lot of teen moms. They wouldn't abort the kids.
Yeah.
TV.
And I don't know.
It's
The
still
birth control
on.
was
What?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like
Oh.
it's still on. I don't watch it, but I've seen. I do have a little Jersey Shore guilty pleasure. So
Jersey Shore was
sometimes
hilarious.
I love Jersey Shore so much.
Phil likes Snooki.
But Teen Mom, like I don't know, they're bringing back the Teen Moms from like before. It's
I used to use that as I'm going to stop using that as an example now. 'Cause I always used to
'Cause
say
it's
like,
all them
they really
TV
abort. All
shows
the
are
young
like
women are
that.
encouraged to abort, but I guess not, because the show is still going on. Also on mifepristone, real quick, the Trump administration actually defended its use in Texas. They're trying to not have different people and different courts go after women's access to mifepristone. I think it really speaks to the pro-choice direction of at least the administration right now. And they don't want to touch this issue with a 10-foot pole. They like that. Trump loves touching on all the issues, but I think he's noticeably leaving this one alone.
All right, we're going to go to Super Chats now. So smash the like button, share the show with all your friends, with everyone you know. Head on over to dccomedyloft.com. I think there are still tickets available for tomorrow's show. It is going to be Myron Gaines, Not So Erudite, and Kat Timpf, and they're going to be debating whether or not feminism has destroyed the West. And I think that you guys can probably figure out who's going to be on what talking point.
And Angela's going to join as well.
Are you going to be there?
She'll be
be
she'll
there.
be
You're going to stick around?
Yeah.
I saw the conversation on X, but I wasn't sure if there was a resolution to that. So Angela will be there, and she's definitely going to be on the side of the misogynists. So we're gonna go to your absolutely. We're gonna go to your super chats right now. Lee Whitaker says, "Hey, based friends, Discord VIP here. I've written an anime-inspired fantasy novel available on multiple platforms. All links at celestiumsaga.com."
That's
so there
awesome.
you go. If you are a member of the Discord, which you should be a member of the Discord, actually, before we get to any further, head on over to timcast.com, become a member at timcast.com so that way you can join the Discord. And then head on over to rumble.com and become a member there so that way you can watch the after show. Now, tonight being Friday, we're not going to have the after show, but it's Monday through Thursday. You watch the after show. We can say things on Rumble and the after show that we're not allowed to say on YouTube. And if you're a Discord member, you can call in and you can ask us questions, ask questions of our guests. You can also possibly find your spouse because we've had like 3 people get married in the Discord. You can start a podcast. There's like 3 or 4 different podcasts that were started in the Discord. So join timcast.com so that way you can find like-minded people and do things together as friends.
And you get free tickets to the culture events.
Oh, you get free tickets too. There you go.
Members get free tickets.
And afterwards, we have a little get-together for the Discord members after the live event. So
That's awesome.
You have an extension after live event, and you get to meet people in the Discord at the live event.
So I think there's still time to do that too, right? If they were to sign up tonight,
Yep,
if you sign
absolutely.
up tonight, you
get a free ticket.
Get a free ticket for tomorrow in DC, and then you'll get free access to the
Yeah.
after show in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I think we have like 20 tickets, maybe
That
like 18 left. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sick deal. You can also buy me unlimited drinks at the after show. as many as
I
you
would
like.
love to see you get Elaad
Charge
hammered.
nothing to buy me a drink.
Elaad, I think that I just want to buy you enough drinks to get you absolutely.
Hey man,
Imagine that.
as long as you tip your bartender well, I'll
You have a
accept
ride
all
home? Or are you
drinks.
driving?
You could drive me. You could. Take
No,
me wherever
I am
want.
not driving you anywhere. Absolutely not.
Amen.
I mean,
way.
maybe.
Bold lib.
I have a driver.
You know, I was saying on the other show, young liberal women don't get enough credit. I was saying libs are kind of hot. Nobody agreed with me, and then I said young Hillary Clinton was, a beautiful woman. What?
No.
Okay, you agree, right?
Big. I
Yeah.
don't know if I've seen a young Hillary Clinton. I don't know.
Serge, you ready to
Sure.
pull her up?
Oh,
You're not
no.
ready?
Don't do it,
Okay,
don't do
all
it.
right.
Don't do it.
You guys aren't
But-
ready for young
But
Hillary
teach-
Clinton.
I mean,
A lot has been thinking about her a lot, apparently.
He's been talking about it a lot.
I like it. I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
Like,
She's happy for you.
I'm happy for
Yeah.
you and Hill Dog.
I am.
Well, hey, her and Bill got pretty far. I mean, hey, they had a good run at it. She was almost president.
She has amazing pantsuits.
Great.
I'm kidding, by the
I
way.
love a
This is
pantsuit.
all.
Yeah.
Wyatt Kaldenberg says if they arrest one of these Dems, I think he's talking about the Texas legislators, he or she will become a superstar. If they arrest 30 or more, they become a faceless mob. Everyone remembers the first man to step on the moon. Who remembers the fourth? That's actually
Fair point.
A fair point. I do think that the talent of the individual still matters. Will actually matter though. If you get someone that can't speak, can't relate to people, that just manage to squeak in as a state rep, that'll be a problem. They need to have that kind of charisma and that political star power.
Alan Bean was his name, by the way, the fourth person to step on the moon. Alan Bean.
Was it really?
Hey,
Nice.
facts.
There you go.
Well, if you believe we went to the
Oh God.
We'll talk about it tomorrow with Alex.
I don't even want to talk. Plastic Cup Politics says, I will be severely disappointed if not but a single Timcast member tosses a lime green
Oh, jeez.
Dildo.
section.
Yeah,
There you go. On stage during the feminist debate tomorrow. Peep's going to be showing up with a literal bag of dicks.
Now that you read that, someone's coming with one.
I know. It was already
manifesting
coming
it.
out of
Pulling
my
it
mouth
in.
before I realized what it was.
Just aim it at Alex. He'll love it.
Dane Peterson says, hook and mouth. So far, so good. So what? Greatest anti-government song ever. Great job, Phil, bringing it up. F. Tipper Gore. Absolutely. I'm a fan of Megadeth. We just got the privilege. We had the privilege of touring with them just last summer. Great guys. Dave was awesome. And one of the cool things about Megadeth is they change the set every night. So it's actually worth going to see multiple shows if you can swing it. They don't play the same show, the same set every night. They were constantly surprising people. So yeah, go check out Megadeth. They're awesome. Ligma Johnson says Trump's promise to end the war on day one came before Biden greenlit American missiles to be fired on civilian targets inside Russia. Biden did everything he could to fan those flames. Yeah, I agree, but at the same time, like,
What a cope.
yeah, I mean,
What a sick cope.
his point is well taken, but at the same time, I don't think that Trump could have just stepped in and said, "Hey, stop," and Putin was going to listen, because Putin has all the cards. Putin is in the position of power there.
Well, that's why it's like we are always in the impossible position of like trying to bury beefs, like end beefs, and it's like, I get we're powerful, but how do you stop people that have hated each other for as long as they hate each other? Like, that's the toughest thing. It's like, outside of, doing terrible things, and even that doesn't necessarily end it. It just makes it worse. Again, Obama's campaigns, like, that didn't help us. So
Shane H. Wilder says, a Tarrant County judge granted Paxton's request for a temporary restraining order injunction against Beto O'Rourke's poweredbythepeople.org. That was receiving funds to pay fines of the Dems. Big W. Hey, look, anytime Beto O'Rourke gets his fanny slapped, I'm happy. Hand slapped, smacked in the face. I don't want to. Don't get the wrong idea.
What's in your
Don't get the wrong idea,
told on
weirdos.
himself, Phil told on
visual.
himself. Elaad's talking about hot Hillary.
Shane H. Wilder with the another Rumble rant. Raymond is right about the long term, but in the short term, they are delaying more than the redistricting. They are delaying votes on protecting groundwater and a flood disaster bill. So
Yeah.
Shanish Wilder is from Texas, so he actually has a good inside track on it.
So
thank you, Shane, for those.
I wanted to mention one of these guys. His name is James Tallarico. He's a Texas state representative. He's one of the guys who fled, but he's also one of the guys who went on Joe Rogan's podcast like a week or so ago, and he's getting a lot of buzz. So if there's somebody who's trying to finesse this whole, political stunt into something, it's this guy. And I mean, this is what he wants for us to keep our eyes on him, but I guess he's somebody to keep his eyes on. Your eyes on.
I mean, if you made it to JR, that's kind of a thing.
But I agree with Shane. Like, once critical things start happening as a result, that's the only way people start being like, hey, go get this guy, arrest him.
Yeah,
do whatever
water's
you
a
gotta
big
do.
deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Shane H. Wilder again said, remember, Warrant's Cherry Pie album, 1990, had a 55-second track called Ode to Tipper Gore that consisted of clips of every foul word they said in concert as a big middle finger to the warning label. Look,
The warning label.
when the warning label came out, that was a badge of honor, right?
Right.
Like,
But it
kids
hurt
were
your
like-
sales bigly.
Did it really hurt the
Oh,
sales?
yeah. Artists were like, because Walmart wouldn't carry them, like family-friendly stores wouldn't carry them
Yeah.
once they had that label on it, and you lost a
There
ton
Walmart
of
in
money.
1990s? Was there? I guess there wasn't there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They weren't the big gigantic.
Oh, they were still huge for like artists because people used to buy CDs back then. Remember, you used to
Did
go
they?
buy the singles. We used to,
I bought
yeah, I
CDs
did.
all the time back
I'm
then.
making a joke. I remember.
Okay. You
I
got
myself was
got us
buying
pretty good.
buying CDs.
Yeah,
Remember, I'm probably the oldest person at the table.
Right.
By a
and the
lot.
musicians.
Yeah, and
it
I-
really hurt your industry when they put those labels on it. Really.
Not as much as streaming, homie.
Oh, for sure.
So
That's the worst one.
let's see.
LimeWire.
Oh, it was
You look good for your age, though.
Napster.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, amen.
Very good.
Amen. Your shirt fits
LimeWire's
you well.
worse because Napster was
Yeah, you're shredded real nicely, even though you're closer to my dad's age than mine.
I probably am closer to you.
No, I did the math. What? No, not in a bet. He's
it's
great
fine.
for his age.
Fine,
Are you
it's
kidding me?
I'm not
Yeah.
offended.
We understand your.
Not a
And
fan.
he still tours.
Yeah.
Oh, freaking Phil Rock's Divine. Have you
This
seen
guy's
his
a rock
album?
star. I
Still
can barely
going
know.
to the gym and
Yeah.
and still. I mean, most of the guys my age are not in the shape that I'm in.
You could probably bench a lot more than me. So
My chest has never been great.
Well, have you
My
seen this
squat- My
guy?
I
deadlift-
maxed out at 185.
okay, I can bench more than you. But my deadlift and my squats are
Nice.
are
There
actually
you go.
much better
There
than
you
my
go.
bench.
At the White House.
Eb Jones says, it's our job because we are the world's most powerful military by a massive margin. It's not even close. And we have every interest in staying that way. The West, communism, or Islam, take your pick. There is an argument for that, right? So, like, everybody that says, hey, the United States shouldn't be the world police, like, I like that concept, but I also like the idea of the United States making sure that, you know, the oceans are safe for everybody. Like, so there are
trade.
the military makes sure that every nation is allowed to use the seas in a way that is not particularly preferential to other countries or to one country. And I think that has been an actual benefit to the whole world for the entire time that the United States has been doing that. So the post World War II order, with the United States being at least making sure that everyone can trade on, the open sea, I think that's been a benefit for the whole world. And I would like to keep it that way because I don't know that I think that it would be a significantly worse situation if Russia were in charge of part of the oceans and China were in charge of the South China Sea and we didn't have at least the ability to fend off a significant increase in piracy out from Somalia and stuff. Like, the United States really does do a lot to keep that kind of stuff under control. So I think that's a net positive for the whole world.
Phil, real quick question for you, sir. Would that be like all of the oceans, but also like the seas, like the Black Sea, the Red Sea, the
Well, the U.S.
Mediterranean
can't go into the Black Sea. Like the
Well,
U.S.
I-
is just
just
talking
an
about the
example.
oceans. Like,
Just
so,
ocean straight
yeah,
up. Okay.
yeah, because the U.S. isn't gonna. If you've like the Black Sea, it's surrounded territorially
Yeah,
by
yeah. The Gulf,
by
even.
Russians.
Do you think the
well,
Gulf
the
too?
Gulf,
Do you think
no,
the Gulf?
because the thing is, it's multiple countries that are actually,
Yeah.
when it comes to like the Gulf of Oman or whatever, there are multiple countries that are that border the Gulf. So if it's an international seaway, then the U.S. is going to make sure that it stays open, and I think that's a generally positive thing for the rest.
Yeah, don't get caught up on the Black Sea. I was just throwing examples off the top of my head.
No hate. Let's see. Ian Kenny says, I know I'm late on this topic, but I was busy. In regards to the Texas gerrymandering convo, here's a Wisconsin PBS headline. Democrats flip 14 seats in the Wisconsin legislature in 2024 after redistricting. It's true, man. Look, there are something like 40% of the population of Massachusetts are Republicans, maybe 35%. And there are 0 Republican seats from Massachusetts. New York City is definitely something along the lines of like 30-70, or in the greater New York metro area, all Democrats, if I understand correctly. So Illinois is largely controlled by Democrats. There are like at least the 75% of the seats out of California are Democrats. The representation for conservatives in blue states is almost non-existent, or actually non-existent in many of the blue states. So the idea that Democrats are, are being somehow shut down and they don't have political power because of gerrymandering, like that's just a BS line intended to get Democrats worked up. It's not the case at all. And they'll tell you that it's unprecedented. They'll tell you that it's something that the Republicans are doing in order to suppress democracy. It's all BS. It's not unprecedented. It's happened before. And considering the massive shift of population after COVID from states like California to states like Texas, and the influx of people from the 4 years of essentially open borders because of the Biden administration, there's a really strong argument to do redistricting now. So this idea, or the argument that the left makes, it doesn't hold water. It's just absolutely garbage.
The issue with redistricting is that Democrats can do it too. I'm reading some new news out of California about how Governor Newsom is hosting some of these Texas legislators, and they have some juice to squeeze out in California too. So I think we're going to see a tit for tat battle here. We'll see how it plays out.
Friend of the show, James Klug, says, the first time I met Elaad, we were debating abortion in a crowded bar and he started yelling at me. Never seen a grown man lose a debate so bad. Human life is worth protecting.
LOL.
James Klug is throwing you under the bus.
Ian James Klug chilling at the bar yelling about abortion. Trust me,
Right.
James Klug got very emotional about, his love for
Babies?
life.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say.
Oh, did you take the inverse? You took the opposite?
Maybe he should get one of his own, James.
Hey.
You took the opposite a lot? You're pro-choice?
I don't believe in the government's. I don't believe the government should be restricting women's access to abortion beyond 14 weeks.
Okay.
Okay.
Before 14 weeks.
I do love your advice for James.
Yeah, right. I think dude's almost 30, no kids. Damn. Shh.
Oof.
Almost as bad as bold lib.
I'm almost 50, or I am 50, and I don't have any kids yet.
Well, she's pregnant.
months.
She's on the way.
You're
months,
right down the road, brother.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's like, they say it's already alive in the womb. In
It
Korea,
is.
they start from when you get pregnant. They start counting.
You'll have to put a super chat in, even if you're on the show. Just
Well, I mean, I'll send the super chat
better.
as the Tesla's driving us to the.
Yeah, there you go.
Or maybe I'll just wait till
like
I
it
get there.
happens,
And be
like surprising you're on the show. Put the super chat in before you run to the
I
hospital.
mean, rumor has it the first one takes a while.
Yeah.
So I assume that maybe.
And then the second one just slides right out.
Look, man, I'm the second, and I was born in the hallway. So they didn't even get my mom into the
gonna
room,
make it.
and my sister. It took some time, so
Okay.
we'll see.
Okay, I like it.
I mean, for my girlfriend's, for her sake, I hope that it doesn't take too long.
Sure. Nobody.
Are we doing a good job explaining like a woman's body and biology right now?
That's exactly how.
Okay.
I mean, the logistics, yeah.
Just slide right out the second one. Yeah.
Slide right, yeah.
Let's
I
see.
also hope for her that it's not long and it slides right.
How's the
out.
baby fever? You still got it? You still got that? You still sweating?
Hey,
Well, I mean, you
What happens?
tweet about it a lot. Is what it's what I'm saying. So I'm wondering if that's
We'll
like
see.
if that's real or if that's you just putting on.
see, I don't know.
Okay.
Like I said, evolving, growing, open.
All right. Our sergeant says. Our sergeant 31 says. Let's reverse some thinking. What if America allowed its people to cross into Mexico unchecked? How long do you think it would be before American gangs were running the Mexico? What American gangs? Before American
And
gangs
we do go into
were
America.
running the
we do go
Mexican
into
cartels.
Mexico unchecked.
Like the Crips, they can't make any money down there.
It's
real
actually
gangs.
we get to go in unchecked. They don't get to come here unchecked, right? We can just go to Mexico, right?
Yeah, and they hate us. They hate.
He's talking about
they hate
like
expats.
gangs.
Oh,
And also, yeah, like if you are an expat or not even an expat, there are people that just went to Mexico City to work, right? Because it's cheaper. They work remotely and it's cheaper to live down there. And there are Mexicans down there telling them to get out. They are hating on them because they're like, there's something like 10,000 Americans that live in Mexico City.
Right.
And the city has something like 5 or 10 million. It's like a big city. So the amount of people,
ironic?
the amount of Americans that are there are not affecting housing prices, but they're still blaming the Americans. They're like, get out of here, gringo.
They want out the 10,000. We have 400 million or whatever it is.
See signs posted like,
or 4 million, 5
5
million.
Like, yeah, they don't want Americans.
They don't like
That's
it at all. They don't like it at
hilarious.
all.
So we're the nice ones
actually viral
in the world.
content.
We're the best people.
And again, like the Americans are bringing, they're bringing American dollars in.
Right.
They're spending dollars that they made,
Right.
when they're working remotely. And
To
the
be fair, they
Americans are
probably are driving up like the property value and the prices in that area. To be fair to them,
If it's a secluded area, I guess, sure.
The problem is that there are Mexicans that can't find apartments and stuff like that,
Sure.
which is, I guarantee, just like in the United States,
Yeah.
the cost is because of things like zoning and because of the governments of the municipalities and then the state and country more broadly. But they're still blaming the Americans, like, hey, get out of here, gringo.
so
I blame the
ironic.
whiteys somehow.
So ironic.
It's funny. All right, let's see. Webhead Mike says, first day done in the hospital with our first baby, so super chatting in the tradition. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
There you go, buddy.
Congrats. I just
Mazel
don't
tov.
understand how we're having an issue with population when literally every night there's 2 our kids in the super chats that are born.
You really don't understand?
It's mathematically, it seems like we're doing pretty good.
We're definitely.
At least in our audience.
Our audience, yes, but
We're doing great.
As a country. I think I think that I'm going to trust the people that say that we are having a problem getting people to have kids.
Yeah. Not in our audience. Whatever that Discord's doing. It's
Ligma Johnson says Trump bloviates. Take him seriously, not literally. He might not have ended the war on day one, but if Biden didn't fan the flame, it might have been over by now. I mean, look, man, I don't know, but I really don't think that Trump had the ability to. And the reason is because Vladimir Putin has all of the cards. Like the United States, the American people were not going to support actual military action against the Russians in Ukraine. And that's the stick that the United States has, right? The U.S. can do things like try and sanction. The U.S. can do things like send weapons to Ukraine. But the real, when the rubber hits the road, it's the United States military actually taking decisive action. And the U.S. isn't going to do it against Russia because of all the possibility of all those nuclear weapons. So, it may sound nice and Trump can talk a good game, but it was never really in the cards of Trump coming in and saying, hey, get out of here, Putin. And Putin say, oh, I'm sorry, Donald. That wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, on that, Phil, just as much as I'd like to think America's how badass we are and we can tell people what to do and how to live their lives in other countries, when you think about it, Russia's stronger than I would think, than I want them to be, because they're another world power. They're China. They're as strong as we just can't say, hey, dude, just stop what you're doing.
They're not
not as strong as they used to be, but to your point, they are still deadly.
There's only, how many world
not
powers
as
are in there?
There's not. The United
I love you.
No, the United States.
But
It's
still,
true.
I know, I understand. But these guys are still pretty strong themselves within their own.
They could take what, 2 small regions of Ukraine. Frankly, very unimpressive.
Well, because of us, we gave them all the weapons.
Yeah.
Corey Stalling says, look at Trump's legacy. It's amazing to me how much people claim Trump isn't a peace president. He just ended a 35-year war with Armenia versus Azerbaijan. Look, man.
That's a big one.
Trump's ended that one, and there was one in Africa that he ended. I mean, he does try to end wars. It's true. But listen, smash the like button. Share the show with everyone you know. Don't forget to go to, DC Comedy Loft to buy your tickets for the Culture War Live tomorrow. There are still tickets left. And if you show up and you're a member of the Discord, you can come to the after party. It's going to be a great time. Angela, thank you for coming. Would you tell people where they can find you?
Yes, thank you guys so much. Please follow me on X at Angela Belcamino, also on TikTok at Angela Belcamino, and look for the podcast coming in September. Thanks to NAG, Network Access Group. Love you guys. It'll be on Rumble. So thank you guys so much for having me. Appreciate you.
Nice. Thank you. My name is Raymond G. Stanley Jr. I am here. Follow me on X at Raymond G. Stanley. And I appreciated you being here and I had good conversation with everyone here today.
We love Rumble. Angela, good luck with the podcast. We'll check it out. Support Rumble. We'll see you guys at DC Comedy Loft tomorrow. Follow me at Timcast News. Producer Sean.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I am Elaad Eliyahu, the White House correspondent here at Timcast. I actually got a pretty sick scoop yesterday at the White House. I was able to ask the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, if he believes the Muslim Brotherhood should be designated as a terrorist organization. He gave me a thumbs up. So hopefully we get some more progress on that in the upcoming weeks. Check us out at the Comedy Loft tomorrow. And thanks for tuning in.
We will see you all this weekend at the DC Comedy Loft. There will be clips on YouTube and Rumble this weekend, and we will see you all back here on Monday.